Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great start to your day. Please tell me your locations as you are checking in. We started a little bit late today, had some technical difficulties. Looks like we are not going to be live on Facebook today. I will download this recording though and put it up on Facebook later on, but for some reason, Facebook is not working properly. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can save Facebook at the last minute here. So we're trying to see if Facebook will work properly. Tell me your locations as y'all are checking in. We'll see if we can make this work on Facebook. For some reason, it's not recognizing the video source. Random kind of things happen when you are on the internet. Randomly, something will just not work. Anyway, so let's get out of here. So Facebook, I'll put this video up later. Y'all be watching the replay. Those of you who might be checking in on Facebook. My Facebook page is Facebook/Work on Your Game University, by the way, for reference. But we are live on Rumble. Good morning. We are live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody on YouTube. Let me check if we are live on X. Let's see. Yes, we are live on X. So good morning to all the people over there on X. And I'm just looking at a couple of the... shout out to all the people on X who are watching. I'm just checking there. We are live on Instagram. Good morning, Instagram. And we are live over on TikTok. Shout out to the people over on TikTok. Tell me your locations as y'all are checking in. I'll shout out a couple people, then we'll get into it. We are already behind schedule here today. We started a little bit late. Again, trying to fix some things on the technical side. Tell me your locations in the comments. Tell me your location in the comments as y'all are coming in. Thank you, everybody who are liking the live early. We already had 2,000 likes. I appreciate that. Please keep liking the live. We should be doing 100K every day. 100K is the baseline standard expectations. Like Michael Jordan scoring 30 is the baseline expectation. Courtney, good morning to you. Thank you for the gifts. Dally Mac, thank you for the gift. Bravo Girl, I saw you in there too in the gifts. Shout out to the people with the gifts. I can't shout out all the gifts as they come so fast. I can't always see them, but shout out to the people who are leaving the gifts. Dwayne, Detroit in the house, good morning. Murphy the Mutt, Bristol, Tennessee, good morning. Carolyn Rudder, thanks for the gift. Dally Mac, North Carolina. Blazers Pit, 754. I don't know what 754 is. Is that Portland? Shout out to 754, wherever that's at. Bravo Girl, checking in from Missouri, in the building. Wifey Tips from Arizona is in there. Carolyn Rudder from Gainesville, Georgia. I didn't know there was a Gainesville in Georgia. Is it close to the Gainesville in Florida? I know the border. I know they're kind of... Gainesville is not far from the border of Florida, Georgia, but is that close to the border? Shout out to Gainesville, Georgia, wherever that is. Courtney checking in from Nashville. Shout out to Nashville, Tennessee. I was just listening to some Candace Owens earlier today, and she mentioned Nashville, so shout out to Nashville. Lucky Gal, California. Trucker J, Jackson, Ohio today. Yeah, Trucker J, I think you mentioned last I saw you. I remember the name Trucker. You were in Texas. Now you're in Ohio. That's a lot of driving, man. Shout out to the people who do those road trips. Ashley Mack, Northwest Arkansas. We are relieved that they caught the Den murderer. Such a sad story. I didn't even know about that, but whoever that is they caught, I'm happy to. Carol Ann Collins from Newburgh, New York. Good morning to you. I'm asking people to shout out their locations in the comments. I'm just shouting a couple people out so we can get into this. A few more. Totally crotchetable. What does that mean? What's crotchetable? Totally crotchable. Checking in from Florida. Spin just said good morning. So good morning to you. Spin, thanks for the gifted badge. No Stigma from Houston. French Fried said you don't need to eat the books after. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Kuya bin Yasharal, North Carolina. Shout out North Carolina. Angela, North Carolina. Blazer Pit. Oh, 754 is Broward County. Okay, it's Broward. Okay. Is that 75? Yeah, or 754 numbers in Broward. Okay, shout out to 754. I should probably know that being that I live down here. I know 305. I know 786. I know 561. 561 is like Palm Beach. 786 I know, and 305 I know. 754 I didn't recognize. CC from Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta. Marky Man from Sacramento. Tidewater, Virginia. Where was I? Kiri, Kire, said, fine and fly you are. Thank you. Let me get into my points first. You might change your mind about me if I say something you disagree with, but let me get into the content. Ron Johnson, Lima, Ohio. Spin from Chicago. GGB from Florida. Carolyn said, Gainesville, Georgia is not close to Gainesville, Florida, but we are the chicken capital of the world. Why is that? This is news. Gainesville, Georgia is the chicken capital of the world. On what grounds? What's your argument for this? Syracuse, New York, Black Velvet is in the building. Shout out to Syracuse. Fisher Island. Kiri, you're on Fisher Island? All right, shout out to Fisher Island. I've never actually been to Fisher Island. I mean, I can see it. When I'm in South Beach, I can see it right there. But I've never actually been to Fisher Island, so shout out to Fisher Island. Northern Illinois is in the building. Shout out to Northern Illinois. Kiri, you should invite me on a tour of Fisher Island. I mean, since you're there. You said I was fine and fly, so you might as well show me around Fisher Island. Different conversation for a different day. 850 FL. Know that one? No, I absolutely do not know that one, Gigi. I don't know where that is. Bulldog checking in from Connecticut. Doug from Michigan. Okay, let me get into the content here. We just shouting out locations. Let's get to the topic. So what we're talking about here today is Sydney Sweeney. Y'all heard of this woman? Oh, that's the Panhandle. So Gigi, that's like a whole different world from South Florida. Anybody who doesn't know the state of Florida, get from South Florida, like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, all the way to the Panhandle is like a 12-hour drive. That's a long drive, even though it's in the same state. It's a big state, long distance. So this woman, Sydney Sweeney, she is an actress, I hear. I have seen photos of her before. I don't know what movie she's been in. I don't know what her voice sounds like other than the 60-second ad that I listened to yesterday. I don't know anything about this woman. White girl, blue eyes, blonde hair, big breasts. I mean, those things I do know. All right, those I know because that's one of the reasons why she is a known name. Whether she's actually good at acting or not, I'll leave that up to y'all to decide. I have no idea. I don't even watch movies, so I really don't care. But she's in this jeans ad for American Eagle. It was a place that I have never in my life shopped. American Eagle seems to be mostly for white folks. And isn't it mostly for, I'm assuming, is more of a men's store, or is it a little bit of both? But the ad that she did was for American Eagle, and she's advertising jeans. Ostensibly, she's advertising jeans, but the ad did not go viral because of the jeans. And people said these are just amazing jeans. All jeans look the same to me. They fit differently on different people. I don't really wear jeans. I wear shorts or I'm in a suit. And if it's a little bit cooler, I might have on sweatpants, but I hardly ever wear jeans. Anyway, so in this campaign, the whole thing was about great jeans. And this double entendre, we're saying great jeans like the jeans you wear on your legs, and great genes meaning genetics. And it went viral because a bunch of people took the message of that ad and said, well, she's talking about great genes being a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. And this American Eagle, which is a company that mostly targets white customers, and they're talking about good genes. And it seems to be some people are taking this as it's a dig at every other culture that is not white, and the women aren't blonde hair with blue eyes and big breasts, and it's making it seem like they have better genes than everybody else. And people are making stories out of this that the ad didn't say, but the ad, in some ways, depending on how you would like to interpret it, the ad is allegedly implying this, and people are making a big deal out of all of this. So we're in the age of outrage. Everybody knows this. People find something that is not ostensibly saying a certain thing, but you find a way to make it seem like it's saying a certain thing or it's implying a certain thing. You explain to everyone how it's implying the thing that you want to be mad at. Then you get mad at the thing that you had no reason to actually be mad at, but you made up a reason to be mad at it. You get other people to buy into the thing that they're supposed to be mad at that didn't actually get said. You push that out there. It somehow, some way catches fire and it goes viral. Then it becomes a story. And then people like me use it for content. That's where we are today. Okay. So that's how we got here. So in the age of outrage, this harmless slogan, good jeans, which again, how can anybody be mad about a concept of a company selling jeans saying good jeans, and it used a well-known celebrity. I'm assuming this woman is celebrity status. Is she a celebrity? Sydney Sweeney. Again, I've seen her before, but I don't know her status level. I don't know. But they're using her to sell jeans. This is not new. I mean, they use celebrities to sell clothes all the time. All of a sudden, people are mad about this. So some people are calling the ad offensive. What are they offended by? I don't quite understand what somebody could be offended by. Some are saying that this is tone deaf. I would argue the opposite is not tone deaf. It's actually tone. What's the opposite of being deaf? It's tone, actually very clear what the tone is. And some say it's even dangerous, which is laughable, but this is what people are saying. So Dally Mack says she fine as hell. Okay, well, that's the reason why they used it for the ad. And others see this as a cultural reset that we've needed, and I can understand that. We'll talk about that. It's a bold statement in favor of beauty, virtue, and the end of cancel culture nonsense. How, why, we're going to get into that in a moment. So the ad does not apologize, which I appreciate. The ad does not virtue signal. I also appreciate that. And it doesn't explain itself, which is why it's left open to interpretation. And good slogans, good ads, that's the best thing that they do. They get you talking about them because they leave it open-ended to where you can decide what it means, and they don't try to tell you what it means. Same way that Barack Obama's campaign slogan, yes, we can, Donald Trump's slogan, make America great again. They're both open to interpretation, so people can interpret them in different ways and draw their own conclusions. And that's the reason why people talk about them. Is one of the reasons why both of those gentlemen who I mentioned, they won their presidential elections, because they had these open-ended phrases to stamp their campaigns that left it open for everyone else to interpret as they wished. And you see how those conversations go, especially the Make America Great Again. So for this reason alone, it's become a flashpoint. So today what we're going to do is break this down. Is this a smart campaign, or is it a sign of a bigger cultural shift, or is it a combination of both? Let me introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I've written a bunch of books. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help high performance individuals and high performance teams standardize and systematize performance, discipline, and accountability for individuals and for teams. So if you have a high performance team, that could be a sports team, it could be a sales team, any team where everyone is measured by output and performance, we're the people for you. If you're an individual and you measure yourself by output and performance, or you would like to, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, or any of the links you see in my profile or the pin links. You can learn more about working with me, working with our system, etc. We may talk about that later. We may not. But the links in my profile will tell you everything you need to know. Will take you to places you need to go. So first of all, just looking at what I said in the introduction, and thank you for the likes, folks. Keep getting those likes up. One thing I do like about this ad is that there's no apology. American Eagle, which, again, my question is, American Eagle, do they sell their clothes mostly to men, or do they mostly sell to women? Any of you have an answer to this? The American Eagle company, do they sell most of their products to men or women, or is it a mix of both? I'm just trying to figure out who these people sell to. I've seen American Eagle before, and a lot of you are saying both with American Eagle, and we'll just go with that. So they say primarily, same thing. Mixed audience, but their customer base leans more heavily female. I'm seeing here. I didn't know that. I thought it was more heavily male, but it makes sense. They're using this woman, Sydney Sweeney, to sell the ad. I like the fact they're not apologizing. They're using a woman that many people consider very attractive, and she's pretty popular, it seems, to sell their ads. Wasn't this what people always did? This is what always happened. You got a pretty girl to sell a product, and the whole point is to ostensibly give people the subconscious message that if you wear this product, or you buy this product, or you engage with this product, then someone who looks and gives off the energy of this celebrity, you're going to feel like that. This is the way they used to sell cigarettes back in the day. You saw cigarette ads back in the day. What would you see? You see this man in a suit who looked really cool, and he had a nice car, and he had pretty girls with him. He was smoking a cigarette. So if you smoke a cigarette, you're going to be really cool, and you're going to have a nice car, and you're going to have pretty girls too. Does that logically make any sense? No, but it works on the subconscious mind, which is how cigarettes were able to sell so well for many years. Same thing when it came to alcohol. Same thing when it comes to clothing. Same thing when it comes to a lot of things that get sold to this very day. This formula still works. So they're using her to do this, and they don't apologize for doing so, which I appreciate, even though I don't wear jeans, I don't wear American Eagle, and I don't care about this white girl actress. Second thing, they didn't virtue signal. One thing that was happening this was very, what's the word that I would use? Diabolical and terrible between about 2018 and about 2023. For about a 5-year span, you saw a whole lot of ads that were very virtue signal-ish, such as, I don't know what company it was. Was it, y'all got to tell me what company was it. Dove, the soap company that had the ads like with the body positivity. What company was that had the body positivity ads where they had the girls who were obviously obese, clearly fat, and they had them in like either workout gear or it'd be like lingerie, and they were average, and there would be several of them in the same ad. And some ads it was one girl, and some ads it'd be two or three of them. And I'm like, what the hell is this? What are y'all trying to sell? I can understand it was Dove. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So what are you doing? That's virtue signaling. Now, let's be clear. First of all, are there women out there who are that size and that shape? Yes, there are. At the same time, why are you using those women to sell your product? Because you don't use those people to sell the product. You use the people who are the ideal to sell the product. The ideal to sell the product is the skinny, pretty girl who all the men would be interested in. It wasn't those girls who were in the Dove soap ads. Those are not the girls that all the men are interested in. You use the woman that attracts all the male attention, the siren, the Sydney Sweeney types, the Beyonce types, the Tyra Banks types. You use them, what's the woman back in the day? Marilyn Monroe types. You use those chicks, Cindy Crawford, these women. You use them to sell the product because it gets all the men interested in looking. It gets the women looking and saying, I want to be that. I want to have the same effect on men that she has. Then you go buy Dove soap, or you go buy Victoria's Secret, or you go buy, what is this, American Eagle, in order to get the same feeling. They call it fission, the fission of feeling the same way. It's the same way that Michael Jordan sold sneakers. You see people walking around in Michael Jordan sneakers these days, they can't even make a layup, but they wear Michael Jordan sneakers. Why? Because wearing Michael Jordan sneakers subconsciously plants the idea in your mind that you can be the highest performing person at what you do, and you can beat everybody that comes across you, and you're going to make a whole bunch of money and have a smile on your face, and you're going to dominate the competition, and everybody's going to love you because that's what Michael Jordan did. So if you wear Michael Jordan sneakers, then subconsciously you feel like Michael Jordan just because you put on the sneakers. Now, again, do people put on the sneakers literally thinking they're going to go play some basketball? No. But does this work in advertising? Yes, it does. There's a guy named Edward Bernays who's well known for this. Any of you read anything or know anything about the history of advertising, this is where it starts there. And this goes back about 100 years. Modern advertising comes from this concept. Everything I'm laying out here on a high level is that you use those people in order to sell your stuff. So it's virtue signal-ish to use an obese woman who is not the type of woman who's going to get a bunch of men turning their heads to look at her, to use her for your advertisement, because that's not what sells. And these companies were willing to hurt their own sales just to virtue signal that, hey, we're okay with this too. That was a bad idea. Same thing that the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue did. They did this for several issues for several years, because I think the swimsuit only comes out once a year still. I remember when it came out back before the internet, and you had to actually get the magazine. I was a subscriber to Sports Illustrated, maybe in like high school or something like that. And it came out once a year. And who's on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue? A woman with a similar description as a Sydney Sweeney, a Beyonce, a Cindy Crawford, a Marilyn Monroe. I don't know if it was out when Marilyn Monroe was alive, but those Tyra Banks. These are the kind of Kim Kardashian even. You would have women like that on the cover of a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Why? Because first of all, Sports Illustrated is a magazine for men. It's not for women, it's for men. And what are men interested in? They're interested in slim, pretty women. So why would you put, who would they have on the cover of the Sports Illustrated issue? They had some woman there who was like 60, 70 years old. I can't remember who the woman was. Y'all remember who that was? There was some woman on there who was like middle age, past middle age. She was on the cover. I don't remember who it was. Then they had a woman who was obese on the cover. I remember that one. I don't think she was famous, but she was just a model. And she had a pretty face, but she was obese. They had her on the cover. Then they had, who else did they have on the cover? I think they had a man who was posing as a woman on the cover, whatever you want to call that. Was Martha Stewart on the cover? Yeah, it was something crazy like that. So they had something like that on the cover. These are all virtue signals. And the reason why it's a virtue signal is because they were cutting off their nose to spite their face. So we want to make sure everyone knows that we're okay with this, body positivity. There's not one standard of beauty thing that a lot of people were going with. They were trying to make a show of beingness. The problem is you're hurting your sales because your main customer is a man, a warm-blooded heterosexual man who wants to see pretty girls with big breasts and nice butt and a nice shape, and the type of woman who everybody would look at if she walked through the mall. These ain't it. Why would you put those on the cover of your magazine? The one issue all year that you put out that is dedicated towards sexual attractiveness, the rest of the issues are about sports. It's the one time a year you do something that signals to the man, hey, we know you're heterosexual and you're interested in sex. Let me feed that appetite with this one issue, these 100 pages of pictures of girls. Now what we're going to do is we're going to step all over that and spit on it by putting these people on there who are not what you're looking for. Why would you do that, Sports Illustrated? That was stupid. And you notice the Sports Illustrated has reverted back to what they used to do these days. Let's see if we can find the cover of the Sports Illustrated 2025 swimsuit issue. Sports Illustrated Sports. I don't even know who was on the cover because it wasn't news anymore. After they stopped doing the nonsense, it went right back to what it was before. So is this the 2024? I don't know if this is 2024. Yes, it is. So this is the calendar. I want the issue. Sports Illustrated 2024 swimsuit issue. They have a woman named Kate Upton. Y'all know this woman? All these white girls look the same to me. But anyway, they had her on there 2024. This is more back to normal. All right, this is what you expect when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated to get that swimsuit issue. You're looking for this. All right, this is what you're looking for. So the calendar, they never did the nonsense. So I'm seeing pictures of the calendar. See, the calendar is all where it's supposed to be. What they did, what they do with the Sports Illustrated now is now they start doing multiple covers. So they have multiple women on the cover. So they might have put out 5 or 6 different covers. They had Chrissy Teigen on there. And Chrissy Teigen's a little bit past her prime. No disrespect to her, but she's a little bit past her prime. When she was in her prime, her photos look better than this. But I think she's had a few kids, at least a few pregnancies, let's say, because I think she lost one of them. But yeah, that one ain't that great. But she is still Chrissy. She's still a known name. So let me see if I can find the 2025 if it even came out yet. I'm seeing a lot of pictures of the Sports Illustrated calendar. See, the calendar never did the nonsense. They only did the nonsense with the main issue. So swimsuit, let's see if we can find the 2025. I don't know if it came out. So 2025, no, that's the calendar. 2025 Sports Illustrated, that's the calendar. These are all the calendar. So I don't know if the issue came out yet. I'm not seeing any pictures of the issue. This is 2000. So this was 2008. This woman is named Marissa Miller. Y'all know this woman? This is from 2008. So this is 17 years ago. But this is 2008. This is what they were doing every year. Then around 2018, 19, 20-ish, they started doing the nonsense. So this is what they were doing that actually worked. Again, this is 2008. This is what you expected when you saw that Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue was coming out. Now, let me see. I don't know what year it was that they did the crazy thing. We got to find that picture because I do have to point this out. Sports Illustrated 2020. No, see, 2020 was this. Kate Bach, Jasmine Sanders, and Olivia Culpo. Again, these white girls just start blending all in together. Now, how can you even tell the difference? Anyway, this is 2020. This is what they had in 2020, which is about normal. Then, let's see, 2021. It was one of these years that they did the nonsense. We're going to find it because I got to point this out. 2021, they had Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper, Megan Thee Stallion on there. Now, Megan Thee Stallion, she's not obese, but at the same time, she's not what I expect if I'm a subscriber to Sports Illustrated and I get this issue every year and I look forward to it. So I'll go down to my man cave and look through it. This is not what I want. Shout out to Megan Thee Stallion. All right, she got a couple raps that I like, but no. That was when they started leaning. They started leaning towards the nonsense when they put Megan Thee Stallion on there, because now you're putting her on there not because she fits the aesthetic of what you're trying to sell. That was a bad idea, put Megan Thee Stallion on the cover. But there were several people on the cover just for to give Megan Thee Stallion a little bit of, what's the word? A little bit of grace. Oh, here it is. 2022. They put this woman named Yumi Nu. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know if she was famous before. Maybe she's an influencer. This is the one. This is the one. I did a whole live stream talking about this. This is when they really went into the nonsense, was this one right here. Shave Fly Najai said, why would you not want to see Megan? What's wrong with her? I didn't say anything was wrong with her. I said, when I look at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover, what am I expecting to see? Let's be more explicit, okay? When I look at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover, you know what I want to see? What am I expecting to see? Not even what I want to see. What I'm expecting to see is a slim, white female with a bikini body who has blonde hair, maybe brown hair, pretty face, pretty eyes, slim, Model-S, the type of woman who'd be walking on a runway somewhere. That's the type of woman I want to see on there. Megan Thee Stallion is not that. All right, so does that answer your question? All right, that's why I wouldn't want to see Megan Thee Stallion. It was a bad brand idea for Sports Illustrated. There's nothing wrong with Megan Thee Stallion. It doesn't fit what they're looking for. Do you understand? That's the reason why it's not the thing. It's like if they had a James Bond movie and they said, Dre, we want you to play James Bond because you look good in the suit. Fine, I'll take the check. I'll do it. But is that what you're expecting when you see James Bond? No, James Bond is a white guy who looks like he came from England somewhere, and he carries himself like a white guy from England. Am I that? No. So even though there's nothing wrong with me as a person, it doesn't fit the aesthetic of what they have sold. When you set an expectation that this is what we sell, you don't go off of that just to prove a point. You keep doing what works. You don't break your formula just to prove a point to virtue signal to the world. This right here is breaking your formula to prove a point. This is a bad business idea. This woman, there's nothing wrong with Yumi Nu, the person. Maybe she has a husband. Maybe she got a bunch of men who love her, especially after she was on the cover of this magazine. However, is this what you're expecting when you get the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue in the mail if you're a warm-blooded heterosexual male used to looking at this magazine? The answer is hell no. Everybody knows the answer is hell no. This is the nonsense that Sports Illustrated was doing for several issues, because they would do multiple covers every year. So she was just one of the cover artists. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say American Eagle didn't do that. They went back to the normal aesthetic. Let's get some pretty white girl and put her in our ad, and we're going to sell our products because of that. Only reason people are all excited about the Sydney Sweeney thing, is because so many people went away from it. They're going back to it is like crazy. It's so surprising. It's like a rare thing to go back to it because we got so used to people not doing it anymore. Now they're going back to what it was. So this campaign celebrates beauty, femininity, and natural excellence without apology. Now, natural excellence being that people are considering Sydney Sweeney, as far as her aesthetic, to be natural excellence, just natural beauty. Is she pretty? I think most men who are listening to this, is Sydney Sweeney pretty? Yes or no? I just want a yes or no. I'm not asking you to rate her. Is she pretty? Yes or no? If you saw her walking through a mall, would you look? I'm not even asking if you would approach, but would you look? Would you notice her if she walked into the room? Is Sydney Sweeney a pretty female? Yes or no? Okay, so everybody is saying yes. Okay, so Sydney Sweeney is rated as pretty. All right, she's attractive. Everyone would notice if she walked by. The campaign is using this, and they are not hiding behind it. And in the ad, again, I don't know anything about this woman, but in the ad, she was posing in a feminine way. She was talking in a feminine way. She was given a feminine look. She had soft eyes. I mean, she's an actress, so she knows how to, as they say in entertainment, make love to the camera. She's pretty good at doing that. She did a great job of it in the ad. They probably shot 100 takes of that, and they got the one that they like. They put it out, which is what we want. First of all, men, we want this because that type of energy attracts male attention. That's the reason why they use her, number one. Number two, females can appreciate it. Maybe not every female, but females can appreciate it because they can see that when a woman presents herself that way, of course, she has some natural attributes that allow her to do that. But when a woman presents herself in that way, it draws the attention of a man. And any heterosexual man does things to get the attention of women. Heterosexual women do things to get attention of men, even though sometimes we don't admit it. Men are more willing to admit this than women are, but we all do things to get the attention of the opposite sex if you're heterosexual. And so women can appreciate what Sydney is doing because she's basically giving you a lesson. Okay, if you want men to pay attention to you, look what I'm doing, copy this. All right, she's telling you. I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm not saying you have to do it exactly like that, but everybody gets my direction. Please keep liking the live over there on TikTok. Thank you. Critics are saying that this whole concept of great genes, and I don't think they put the word on the screen because you could take genes with a G or genes with a J, genes the clothes or genes the genetics. And they're saying this is coded language for eugenics and supremacy, white supremacy. I say that's a reach. You're going to dislocate your shoulder, all right, trying to reach like this. And there are some people who are saying this. I saw several people say this, that this is coded language for eugenics. Let me see if I can find one of these posts on X where somebody was saying this exact thing. So Sweeney and eugenics was the word. Let me make sure I spell it right. So I could find one of these posts. There were several posts who used this exact frame. So this woman named, I don't even know who this is. This is a real person. Let's assume this is a real person. This account is called What the Hell Brian James, whatever that means. She says the following, and she's on Blue Sky. So this is perfect. She has a Blue Sky account too. This is perfect. She says, so she's quoting, genes are passed down from parent to offspring. I'm guessing this is what Sydney says in the ad. My genes are blue. That's referring to both the pants and her eyes are blue. And then Sydney Sweeney has great genes. I'm assuming maybe she just said that. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Nothing is ever a coincidence. This is her comment, this person's. Nothing is ever a coincidence. This is eugenics. So this is what people are saying about this ad. Now, this woman is a black woman. Now I lost it. I just had it up here. It went away. I had another one I wanted to read too, so I lost that one. So I pushed refresh by accident. So I'm just looking at a lot of these posts about Mrs. Sweeney and people complaining eugenics. So here's what somebody says on the other side. This guy named Marcus Lockhart, he's responding to the In Wokeness post on X, which got 3 million views. He said, best part about this BS, all these people complaining about Sydney Sweeney and eugenics probably are pro-choice, not realizing that the eugenics movement spawned Planned Parenthood with the mission of eliminating inferior races. You literally can't make this shit up. That's what he said. That's actually a very good point. It encapsulates a whole lot of things right there with that comment. So people are talking about this eugenics thing. So let's get clear on what exactly eugenics is. Let's get a clear definition of this so we're all on the same page. Eugenics, because this is a word that a lot of people have been throwing out over the last 3 or 4 days because of this ad here. They're saying it was eugenics, and the only reason people are complaining eugenics because they got a white girl and it's an American-based company, and they're seem to be going back to traditional ways of looking at things. So eugenics is the belief or practice that a population's genetic quality can and should be improved by controlling who is allowed to reproduce. In other words, eugenics is, let's say, if a population says we want a whole bunch of tall people, anybody who's short, we're not going to let them have kids so that they don't reproduce more short people. We're only going to make the tall people get with the tall people so they can produce more tall people. That's a form of, again, broad brush. That's a form of eugenics. At its core, eugenics is about selective breeding of humans. Basically the same stuff we do with dogs. That's eugenics. If you did that with humans, you'd be performing what is known as eugenics. You're just trying to breed certain types of people to get certain types of outcomes. And it promotes reproduction among people with quote unquote desirable traits and limiting or preventing it among those with quote unquote undesirable traits. So there are 2 types of eugenics. In a positive way, encouraging people with superior quote unquote traits such as intelligence, health, physical ability. Let's say you make the athletes breed with the athletes, so you make super athletes. That's one example of it, to have more children. Then you have negative eugenics, which is preventing certain people who are considered inferior or belonging to a certain inferior group. So that could be, let's say, if you think black people are inferior, you don't want black people to reproduce. This is what that man was referring to when he said this is what led to Planned Parenthood. It was the concept that black people are lesser. There is something inherently wrong with black people as a person. So let's create a way that they cannot reproduce so that we can get more of the superior race, which would be more white people and less black people. Was that the concept behind the people who started Planned Parenthood? The answer is absolutely it is. And a lot of people know that. If you didn't know that, now you know. So undesirable traits could be other things such as a physical disability, mental illness. Let's say if you were a criminal and people think that criminality is maybe inherent in your genes, not just an action. If you're from a poor community, if you grew up in poverty, or if you're belonging to a certain class, let's say you're just lower class, you want to stop them from reproducing through things like forced sterilization, institutionalization, or worse. So are there ways that people think eugenically? The answer is absolutely there is. I remember I was dating this girl once years ago, and she said, and she wore glasses. I wear corrective contact lenses. And she said, she was saying it kind of matter of factly, but she was being serious. She was like, I don't know if it would make sense for us to have children. We weren't really seriously talking about having kids. We hadn't even had unprotected sex at that point. But she was saying, I'm not sure it makes sense for us to have kids. And I said, why? She said, well, I'm concerned about your eyes. That's what she said. So I'm concerned about your eyes. Because she was thinking this is a eugenics type of thought. That she's like, I wear glasses, you wear lenses. So if we have a kid, our kid's probably going to have bad eyesight too. This is just what she was just matter of factly saying. I'm giving that as an example. But the reason why eugenics is controversial, and I'll give you a positive example, was like, y'all know LeVar Ball, the basketball dad with the 3 kids who play basketball. Well, one of them's a rapper now, but 2 of them are in the NBA. So Lonzo Ball's in the NBA, LaMelo Ball's in the NBA, and Jello, the middle kid, he tried to play in the NBA, didn't quite make it, and he became a rapper. He's a rapper now, allegedly very popular. I heard a little bit of his music, and I said, okay. Anyway, LeVar Ball was an athlete. He played some football and some basketball. LeVar Ball is probably like 6'8". Now, his wife, the mom of those kids, she's tall too. She's probably like 6'2", 6'3", white woman. I believe she had I believe either she had a stroke or cancer or something like that. So she's kind of off the scene. She doesn't talk much. And if you're married to a LeVar Ball, you ain't going to talk much. But she was an athlete. And I think they met in college because she played volleyball. There's a lot of tall girls play volleyball. And he played basketball. And he said when he met her, he said to her, we're going to have kids. They're going to be boys and they're only going to play ball. And so he basically predicted the future. Allegedly, according to his revisionist history of what he said. He said that he got 3 kids. They all play ball. They're all tall. And that's an example of positive eugenics. I believe there's a basketball player. I don't know this to be true. I'm not reporting it, but it's a theory that y'all remember Yao Ming, the basketball player from China who played in the NBA for several years. He was a star player in the NBA. I believe he's in the Hall of Fame. If he's not, he will be. I believe that he came to be because his parents were kind of match made. They were match made. Hey, let's produce a super tall athlete, and his parents got match made to create him. I don't know. I'm not reporting that, but I believe that is a story that I heard. So the reason why eugenics is controversial because it's been used to justify racism, classism, ableism, other forms of discrimination. It was central to what happened over in the G country with the N people, whose names I'm not going to say here. In the U.S., it led to some forced sterilizations of many people. A lot of people have talked about that. I'm not going to go into detail on it. So eugenics is about controlling human reproduction to engineer a quote-unquote better group of people. So some people are saying that this is coded language for eugenics and supremacy. I say, let's say that it is. Let's just say that that's what it is. Let's just say that Sydney Sweeney is saying, I have great genes. My genetics are great. And people who look like me, blonde hair, blue eyed, big breasts, pretty face, a lot of men are interested in me. People who look like me are great. I have great genes. She didn't say anybody else didn't have great genes. She just said that she does have great genes. Let's just say that she's saying that. My response is, so? And is she wrong? 2 questions. Well, one is not a question. One is just a response. So, and my question is she wrong? If she says she has great genes, is she wrong? I know, all of you know, if you live in the United States of America, you don't have to live in the United States. If you live in the English-speaking world, you know that the standard for beauty has always been a slim, pretty face, white female. Slim, pretty face, white female. We could just list them off. All right, list off some slim, pretty face, white females who have been held up as standards of beauty. Give me some names in the comments. Slim, pretty, white females. They are actors. I mean, not actors, but actresses. They can become movie stars. These days, some of them are influencers. They are sometimes athletes, every now and then athletes, people on TV, models. So look at these names. Megan Fox is one. Heather Locklear, Audrey Hepburn. What's the woman from back in the day? Marilyn Monroe, Christy Brinkley. You get the Kim Kardashians these days. You got Sydney Sweeney's. All these women are looked at. Jessica Alba. I don't know what she looks like now, but I remember at one point she was one of those people. These women, Jennifer Aniston. Yes, Jennifer Aniston in her prime. All these women before in their primes. Jennifer Aniston, Britney Spears, Cindy Crawford, Linda, I don't know who that person is. Farrah Fawcett, Pam Anderson, Gwyneth Paltrow, Hayden Panettiere, I don't know who that is. Farrah Fawcett got said again. Cindy Crawford again. Natalie Portman, Pam Anderson, Demi Moore. Exactly. These slim, pretty white women. And Sydney Sweeney is saying, hey, I'm just next in line. Is she wrong? Is she wrong? Don't seem wrong to me. Brooke Shields, yes, another one. I don't think she's wrong. In the United States of America, which is a majority white country, still, at least for now, is majority white. White people, y'all better look out. But it is a majority white country right now, and half of those white people are men, heterosexual men. They are interested in women like Sydney Sweeney. And guess what they got? Green money. Tax hammer on Rumble says Scarlett Johansson, another good example. These white men got green money, and they will spend their money, and this makes the economy move. What makes the economy move? These slim, pretty white women selling products. Why are people acting like this is some brand new thing? That's my question is why are people acting like this is new? This ain't new. I showed y'all the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue is a landmark issue that came out once a year. There would be one cover traditionally, and who would be on the cover? Slim, pretty white chicks. Always. Every once in a while, you have someone who broke a barrier. You got a Tyra Banks to break the barrier, or you might get some. What's Tom Brady's wife's name? Well, his former wife, Giselle. You get somebody like that. She's technically not white, but let's just say a fair-skinned, pretty woman, just fair-skinned. Whether she's white, European, Italian, American white, European white, Latin white, but fair skin, pretty, and white, or fair skin and pretty, and they give off a sexual energy. They're models, they're actors, they're actresses. People are fans of them because they're pretty, not because they're good actors or actresses. Again, I'm talking about Sydney Sweeney. I'm doing a whole lot about Sydney Sweeney. I don't even watch movies. I can't name one thing she's ever done except this ad, but we all know who she is. And why is that? It's because heterosexual men are interested in attractive women. I mean, again, why is this news? I don't understand why this is news, but I'll use it. They made it news, so I'm using it as news. So ads like this represent the pushback against woke culture and its war on attractiveness. And to that, I got to clap. I'm giving a sitting ovation. Listen, let me be very clear to everybody who's listening to this. I am a heterosexual man, and I don't discriminate by skin tone. A pretty girl is a pretty girl. I'd rather have something sold to me by a pretty woman than sold to me by a not pretty woman. I'd rather have something sold to me by a slim, pretty woman who's in front of the cameras all the time, giving off a feminine, sexual vibe than a woman who is more obese and more overweight and doesn't give off that vibe because she simply doesn't have it in her because it ain't going to sell products. And if I'm running a business, I got to choose between the woman who I just showed you all. Let me see if I can pull back that picture. If I got to sell a product, I'm trying to sell a product either to women or men. Okay? Women or men. I could use this woman or I could use Sydney Sweeney. I'm calling Sydney. Give me Sydney's phone number. Get her on the line immediately. How much? Okay, go open the budget. Why? Because I'm trying to sell products. I'm in the product selling business. If I want to sell a product, I got to use what sells. If I'm trying to get men to buy, I got to call Sydney before I call that chick. Now, this is not to bag on her. All right. And I got to be careful. TikTok might kick me off for, I don't know, whatever they come up, harm. So I'm rather call Sydney than call that chick. That's just what it is. And if I'm trying to sell to women, I'd rather call Sydney. Why? Because again, Sydney is setting an example for the women. This is what the men want. Do you see it? Do you not see this? Do you not see this response that I'm getting? Let's see if Sydney's on Instagram. Let's see how many followers she has. If she's on here, I would think she'd be dumb to not be on here. And guess what? I was right. Sydney is on Instagram, and she has. Anybody want to guess how many followers she has on Instagram? Somebody guess the number. How many followers does Sydney have? It's actually a nice round number, actually. Anybody want to guess how many followers Sydney has on Instagram? Give me a number. And I'm just looking at some of her posts. And men, by the way, while I'm waiting for y'all to throw some numbers out there, how many followers she has. So let's see. 8 million. User 25 million. 5 million, 1 million, 3 million, 2 million, 130,000. 26, is that 26,000? 500K, 2 million, 10 million, 6 million, 5 million, 10, 25. She got 25 million. User got it right. I think some of you cheated and looked it up. She has 25 million followers on Instagram. And by the way, speaking of Instagram, all the men who are in here, you want to step up your productivity and your efficiency, do not scroll on Instagram. I don't scroll on Instagram. I go on Instagram, I post my story, I post my actual post. I use other apps to post straight to Instagram. But men, you want to step up your productivity and just in everyday life, do not scroll on Instagram and do not look at the Explore tab on Instagram. They are designed to suck your time away. That's the point of them, to suck your time away. So speaking of something like Sydney Sweeney, so don't scroll and don't search on Instagram at all. She got 25 million followers on Instagram. Why? Are those followers on there because she's a great actress? No, she ain't acting on Instagram. What's she doing on Instagram? What do you think her Instagram is? A bunch of pictures of her. That's what it is. A bunch of pictures of her. Kim Kardashian, same thing. Kylie Jenner, same thing. A bunch of pictures of her. It has nothing to do with what they sell. Actually, it is the main thing they sell is that. All right, the fact that they can act or they got a lip gloss or what does Kim Kardashian sell? I saw it in the mall the other day. Like Skims, the clothing line. All right, that's secondary. Main thing they're selling is attractiveness. That's what they're selling. They are selling their attractiveness. And guess what? Men like when women sell attractiveness. Now, some men might be on there self-righteous. You got your Matt Walshes and everything saying that with the OnlyFans and ragging. I get what he's saying. I actually like Matt Walsh and some of the things that he says about it. And many other men who say women out there selling themselves and sexualizing themselves and it's sending society in a certain direction. They are not wrong in what they're saying. At the same time, I'm not asking them to eliminate it because, again, heterosexual males, we still like that and we still respond to it. That's still a thing. And we still want the women in our lives, even if that woman is not Sydney Sweeney or Kim or Beyonce, we still want the women in our lives to know that we respond to that, hopefully giving them a hint. Like, hey, honey, you see that? All right, that works. All right. And this needs to be said. And it's a pushback against this woke culture acting like this is not a thing. This is a thing. And this war on attractiveness, this war on an attractive woman, using the fact that she's attractive to sell herself and sell products. Why are people pushing back against this? We want this. First of all, more people will buy. Secondly, more women want to do it. Third, more men are interested. Where do you lose? Where's the loss in this? Well, let's be clear on what woke means. Being woke means being highly sensitive to injustice in society, specifically when it comes to things like race, but it could be other things, such as body positivity. Now, body positivity is a form of wokeness. And there's nothing wrong being positive about your body. I'm positive about my body. That's why I work out every day. But body positivity, the concept is not about people like me. The concept is about people who might not look so good physically. They don't look good with no clothes on, and they should feel good about themselves and be happy that they are who they are. And I'm just good as I am. I don't need to change. That was the concept of body positivity. They didn't say it in so many words, but that's what they were pushing. Body positivity wasn't saying go get a gym membership so you can get in shape. That's not what it's saying. Body positivity is saying don't shame or attack me because I don't look like Sydney Sweeney, or I don't look like Cindy Crawford, or I don't look like who's one of these other white chicks, Britney Spears when she was in her prime, or Jennifer Aniston in her prime. Don't shame me because I don't look like that, and don't ask me to look like that. Accept me as I am. Bullshit. No. My brain is called Work on Your Game for a reason. You see the book right there. Work on your game. What does that mean? That means you got to understand the game that you're in, and then you work to improve so you can better play the game. And this applies to men the same way it applies to women for different reasons. For women, we know what the game is. Every woman in here knows what the game is. If you're in the open dating marketplace, the game is your physical beauty is the first thing a man notices. And if you don't have it, they're not noticing anything else. That's what it is. Everybody knows this is the game. Every woman in here knows that this is the game, whether you want to admit it or not. If you're in an open marketplace, that's what you're being judged on first and foremost. If you're a man in the open marketplace, first thing you're judged on is not your physical beauty. It is your ability to produce and do you have resources. That's the first thing you're judged on in the open marketplace. Now, this is not to say that that's the only thing you're judged on. Is not to say that you don't have a chance if you're not at the top of the pyramid in these things. A woman when it comes to beauty, a man when it comes to resources, because there are men who don't have a lot of resources who still have women, or at least a woman, and there are women who are not tens who still have men or a man. But we all know how the marketplace works. All right, we all know the game. Let's not act like we don't know the game. You see, wokeness is about let's act like the game isn't the game. That's what wokeness is. That's why I've never been a fan of wokeness since I first heard the term. I've never been a fan. This is not my first time trashing it, by the way. For those of you hearing me for the first time, this is not the first time I've said these things. Please keep liking and live on TikTok. Let's get up to 100K. This is easily a 100K day, folks. It's about let's not act like the game is not the game. American Eagle, somebody in their marketing team has some balls. Congratulations to them. Whoever in their marketing team okayed this, because they said, we know there's going to be pushback because what we're going to do is remind everybody that the game is the game, that a slim, pretty, fair-skinned woman sells products. Let's remind the world that this is reality. Let's remind everybody that this is the way the game goes. Y'all understand what I'm saying here? This is what they're saying. And somebody needed to say it. Someone with this type of platform like American Eagle, they needed to say it, and look, it worked. Now, is this actually going to help them sell products? My answer is yes, it is going to help them sell products. Maybe not as much as it's going to get them talked about. Everybody's talking about this ad. It's not like we're all running out to the store to buy their jeans. But they are being talked about, and that's kind of one of the points of marketing is you want people talking about you. So some people are using this in classrooms as an example of, they say that this is what I found in my notes. So some people are using this in classrooms, like a professor, as an example of modern racism. This is nonsense. I'm not even diving into that one. And this is the race hustle. And I mean, how far do you got to reach to even try to make this about race? There's only one person in the ad and they happen to be white. So what if there was one person in the ad and they happen to be black saying the same thing? What if Beyonce did the same ad and said the same thing? Same script. Would it be racism? No? Okay, then miss me with this nonsense. So this elevates classic beauty and unapologetically objectifies a heterosexual feminine ideal, which is what I've already told you. Classic beauty. Now, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but there is a measure of beauty. Anyone who's done any type of image work or image consultancy or worked in the modeling industry, anybody here can co-sign. Put the word co-sign in there if y'all understand that, yes, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. However, there is a standard of beauty. There is actually a measurement of beauty, meaning like the symmetry of the face, where the relative position of the eyes and the hairline and the nose and the mouth and the width of the lips, there is actually a measure to this stuff. There is a scientific measure of these things. I can't explain it to you because I don't work in that industry, but that measure does exist. And this woman, Sydney Sweeney, newsflash, all right, she fits the criteria. All right, that's the reason why she's in the ad. You couldn't just pick any woman and say, well, they're all beautiful. See, this is what the Dove soap ad did wrong. What they tried to do was say to you, do not believe your lying eyes. We're going to show you a whole bunch of women of a whole bunch of different shapes, sizes, and levels of physical attractiveness. And we're going to push the idea on you that they are all attractive and you should accept this regardless of what your subconscious mind and what your brain down below your waist is saying. All of these women are equally attractive and you should appreciate all of them for who they are. That's what Dove tried to tell you in the advertisement. I'm talking specifically to the men. And they were subconsciously signaling to the women that however it is that you are, regardless of what the marketplace is saying about you, attractiveness level wise, you're okay. Just stay right there. And the world has to come meet you where you're at. You don't have to meet the world where it's at. All right, that was nonsense. What American Eagle was saying is, let's get back to our fundamentals. Let's get back to the basics. Slim, pretty, fair-skinned is what people want. That's what the marketplace wants. And the marketplace tells you exactly what it wants by the responses. She got 25 million followers for a reason, not because she can act. She got 25 million followers because she's a good actress. Again, I don't know if she's a good actress, and actually it doesn't even matter. If she stopped acting today, she would get more followers, not less. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So classic beauty standards, there is a such thing, just anybody pushing against that, and it objectifies her heterosexuality and her feminine energy, which is, again, this works. All right, there's a reason why OnlyFans is popular. Not everybody makes money on OnlyFans. There's a reason why it's popular, because heterosexual femininity sells. Not everybody's sells at the same level. Not everybody has 25 million followers, but it does sell. And every woman understands this, whether, again, you want to openly admit it, whether you would like to exploit it in the world or not, everyone understands this. So outrage activists argue that celebrating genetic beauty is exclusionary and regressive. All right, this is a great point. Let's dig into this one right here. Let me say it again. So some activists are saying that celebrating genetic beauty, because Sydney Sweeney, on some level, she hit the genetic lottery. You see it, some tall basketball player, he's 6'8". He hit the genetic lottery. Did LeBron James have to work hard to be 6'8" and 260 pounds and be able to jump 40 inches in the air? Did he have to work hard for that? No. He genetically was blessed in a way that most other people ain't blessed. There's somebody out there who works harder at basketball, or at least they tried to work harder at basketball than LeBron in high school, but they're 5'8" and they can't jump and they didn't make it to the high school team. All right, same level of effort, they just ain't got the genetics. All right, some people just hit the genetic lottery and they get celebrated. These are your athletes. Famous athletes, many of them hit the genetic lottery. They have physical tools you just ain't got, no matter what you do. It's not hard work. It is hard work, but it ain't. Sydney Sweeney, on some levels, hit the genetic lottery. She's fair-skinned, slim, and pretty. And what activists are saying is that this is exclusionary. Please keep liking and live on TikTok. I know I'm giving y'all the heat in the content, but please keep tapping the screen. Please keep tapping the screen. We should be at 100K, folks. This is 100K day. We're at 58,000. They say that this is exclusionary to celebrate genetic beauty. I say, absolutely. Of course. It's supposed to be. Celebrating genetic beauty should be exclusionary. The same way that celebrating genetic athleticism is exclusionary. LeBron James plays for who? The LA Lakers. The LA Lakers play in what league? The NBA. How many people play in the NBA? About 500. How many people play basketball? About 500 million. 500 out of 500 million. That's literally 1 in a million get to play in the NBA. Who gets to play in the NBA? The guys who hit the genetic lottery and they practice basketball. I'm not saying NBA players don't practice. I played professional basketball for almost 10 years. I'm not saying that they don't work hard, but if you don't hit the genetic lottery, you ain't even getting in the room. That's what it is. You don't hit the genetic lottery, you ain't getting in the room. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Sydney hit the genetic lottery. Now, what does this have to do with Sydney Sweeney? Because it's a little bit different than sports. Because in sports, you have to actually do something. And when it comes to being pretty, you just got to stand there and take pictures. A little bit different game. So what does this mean? And you ever been to a bar or a nightclub? All right, who stands in line and who gets in? Who gets in free? Who got to stand in line? I'm talking to women, not the men. When it comes to the men, if the people at the door, the bouncers know you, you get to walk in. or you spend enough money, you get to walk in. If you don't spend money and nobody knows you, you got to stand in line and wait. If you're a female, on the other hand, at a bar or a nightclub, who gets in? Who gets in free at a bar or a nightclub when it comes to women? Put the answer in the comments. You go to a bar or a nightclub, especially in places that big cities, New York, Manhattan, Vegas, LA, Miami, Atlanta, who gets in free? Who gets in free at the bars and nightclub? Any of you been to a bar or nightclub? Mr. Nobody said, physical beauty has been celebrated since the days of ancient Rome and Greece. Of course it has. Stella said, bleaching your hair has nothing to do with genetics. Okay. Jane says, slim, pretty girls that present themselves well. Yes. Rub Dak said, women, pretty women. Not just any women. Rub Dak. Not just any women. Spin said, attractive women. Patty Ingram said, the attractive ladies. James said, pretty women all day. XTR said, all the pretty girls. Yes, exactly. So it's relative. It's relative. Different cities, different standards. So the girl who could get in free in Pittsburgh might not get in free in Miami. All right, depends on where you're at. But relative to the competition, the prettiest girls get in free. And they get invited to come sit at VIP with a man they don't even know just because of how they look. That's the game. Is that exclusionary? Yes, it is. So if you got a bunch of girls standing outside the line at a club and I'm the bouncer, okay, all the 9s and the 10s getting in free and all this 5s and 6s got to stand in line. You might get in, you might not. I might make you pay. Why? Not because I'm a bad guy, but because I'm doing what my boss told me to do, which is let the 9s and 10s in free. We're going to make sure we get pictures and videos of the 9s and 10s in the club. Why do they want pictures of the 9s and 10s in the club? Anybody know the answer? Because if you take pictures of the 9s and 10s inside of your nightclub, then guess who's going to notice that when they scroll Instagram? I just told y'all not to scroll Instagram, but a lot of people do it. They're going to scroll Instagram. Some heterosexual man is going to be scrolling Instagram. He's going to see, oh, damn, Club ABC around the corner. They had a ladies' night 2 weeks ago. Look at all the 9s and 10s in the pictures. I need to go to ladies' night this week. I'm not even a lady. I'm going to go there so I can meet one of these 9s and 10s, at least so I can stand around them and look at them. I get as close to them as possible. Maybe I buy a couple bottles. One of them will come have a couple drinks with me. Hey, let me go over there. All right, they understand the business. This is business, folks. They're trying to get money out of the men. You don't get money out of girls at a club. The girls don't spend money. Men spend the money. You want to attract the men, you got to bring in pretty girls. So that's what the nightclub does. They want all the pretty girls coming in the club. And if you go to the club, a bunch of pretty girls come together. They all get in free. And a bunch of average girls, I got to stand in line. You might get in. You might get in because they're trying to get the men in. And the men got to spend money. Man come in the club, you got to buy something. You can't just walk around the club doing nothing as a man unless you're famous. You get paid. Everybody else, you got to spend some money. As far as men go outside of this point that I'm making, there's other ways to meet women besides going to clubs and spending money. But I digress. They're saying that this is exclusionary. I say, of course it's exclusionary. If I'm running a nightclub, I'm running Club XS in Vegas. I'm running the club. What's the club that's in the Cosmopolitan in Vegas? Is it XS? I don't do nightclubs, but I'm in Vegas often, and I walk past the club. I see the people going in. I walk past. I think it's called XS. But let's just take that club that's in the Cosmopolitan in Vegas. Cosmo, great hotel, by the way. You stay at the Cosmo in Vegas, whatever that nightclub is. I know it's one called Marquee, but isn't Marquee the pool club? I think it's called, anyway. You go to that club in Vegas. They are excluding the men who won't spend a couple $1,000s for a table or a couple $1,000s for bottles. You exclude it. Is it Dreas? Yeah, Dreas. That's another one of the clubs. Yes, that's a good one. A-Walk, thank you. So, no, I do not go to clubs. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. What club am I going to? So, anyway. You go to the club, the men who don't spend money get excluded. You just want to walk in. Let's say you're just a nice guy. You're a nice guy. You're a cool guy. You don't want to spend any money. You just want to go in there so you can dance with the girls. You ain't even trying to buy drinks. You don't drink. You just want to dance with the girls and meet some pretty girls. They ain't letting you in. They're excluding you. Oh, you ain't spending no money? No, sir, you can't get in. You want to get in, you got to pay the cover charge. $250 tonight. It's Friday. $250 to get in. You want to get in? $250. $250 per person. So it's 4 of y'all. That's $1,000. Y'all coming in or not? That's what they tell you. That's exclusionary. They're using the money to keep you out. And the women, again, they want the pretty girls in there because the pretty girls attract men and the men got money. Y'all see the game? This is the hustle. This is the business. And I'm using nightclubs as an example here. It's the same thing American Eagle is doing. American Eagle wants to sell products. Who's making the money? The man. Who makes more money generally? Men. Okay, men will spend money. Even if it's for the woman, the man is spending the money. Okay, how do you get a man's attention? A pretty girl. Let's get the pretty girl. Pretty girl brings the men bring the money runs the business. Y'all understand this? See, if I think I got snakes in my garden, I'm not just going to go out there and try to catch a snake. Snakes are hard to catch. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some cheese or some peanut butter on a trap. That's not for the snake. The cheese or the peanut butter on the trap is going to attract rats. When the rats come get the cheese or the peanut butter, the rats are going to attract snakes. The snakes come get the rats, then I catch the snake. All I got to do is wait for the snake to show up. Same thing American Eagle's doing. Let me get the pretty girl. Pretty girl is the bait. She's the bait for the men. The men come in. I get the money out the man's pocket. We run a business. We keep going. Everybody wins. The men got what he wanted. The woman got what she wanted. The economy gets what it wants. The government gets its tax dollars. Everything keeps flowing. This is the cycle. This is the way it works. So is it exclusionary? Yes, it is. And it's supposed to be. Life is exclusionary. Okay. I talked about this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It may have been the day before. This whole concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm not a fan, but I'm most not a fan of that last one, the inclusion. I am not a fan of inclusion. And I'll just explain to you why. I come from the sports world. In the sports world, you don't include everybody. Everybody ain't on the team. 50 people might try out, 12 people make it. That's how it works. Football team, 100 people try out, 50 people make it. That's the way it works. You got fraternities and sororities. I was never a member of one, but I'm assuming more people try to get in than actually get in. Everybody don't make it. Why? Because the value of it goes up when you exclude people. The value of anything increases when it's exclusionary, not inclusionary. And when you raise the bar and make it harder to get in, the people who do get in are more valued because they were able to clear the bar. And everybody else looks up to them, literally looks up to them because they were able to clear the bar that everybody else couldn't clear. That's how it works. So I like the fact that these type of things are exclusionary. I don't think that's regressive. I think that's progressive because they're saying it's regressive because you're excluding people. And they're trying to create this frame that being inclusionary is somehow progressive. I say, no, it's not. That's actually opposite. Being inclusionary is sending us backwards because you are lowering the bars of standards. When you lower the bar of standards, you're sending things backwards. You're sending things into chaos and disorder. When you raise the bar of standards, you are staving off chaos and disorder by imposing certain parameters that people have to clear in order to be accepted in a certain group. Please get the likes up on TikTok. We're at 62,000. Let's get to 75 quickly, please. You got to raise the bar. You got to raise the standard by making people clear that bar and showing them if you want to clear the bar, you got to do this. Okay, you can't do that, then you can't clear this bar. I'm sorry. Can't do that here. We can't let you clear that bar because you won't meet the standard that we set right here. So is it regressive? No, it's progressive. Forcing people to step their game up is progressive, not regressive. Now, allowing people to get into any space, regardless of their skill set, regardless of their performance, regardless of their resume, that's regressive because what you're doing is introducing chaos and disorder because you're not upholding a standard. You're not making people do anything. You're not making them earn their way into the room. If someone doesn't have to earn their way into a room that they used to have to earn their way into, then the value of that room diminishes significantly because it's not worth it, what it used to be worth. Because you actually have to do something. It's like if you got a restaurant that has a dress code, and then all of a sudden you say, all right, we ain't going to have a dress code anymore. Well, the quality of people who come into that restaurant is going to go down. Why? Because you went from having only a certain level of people who can get in. Now anybody can get in. By definition, you're going to get more disorder and more chaos. This is a scientific law called entropy. You lower standards, you get disorder and chaos. That's just a scientific fact. So being exclusionary by using a pretty girl instead of using just any girl it raises the standard. And that raises the bar for everybody else. So what I predict, here's my prediction. Over the next 6 months, especially coming up the holiday season, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, that season, you're going to see more ads that look like they got the message from this American Eagle ad. Remember that I told you that. Around November, December this year, you're going to see more ads from other companies, don't even have to be closed companies, that are going to use the same formula that American Eagle just used. Pretty, fair-skinned, feminine woman selling her sexuality and femininity to help sell a product. Guaranteed. You're going to see more and more people doing it again because now American Eagle has set the tone that this is where we're at. So this is a cultural counterpunch. It's a blonde woman in tight jeans, or the jeans weren't tight, actually. They were actually very loose. But a blonde woman in jeans triggering the machine of people who are pushing back against the nonsense, which is, again, necessary. And when did this become? A lot of people don't want to give credit, but what opened the door for more organizations, people, entities, businesses to be doing this again? Anybody know the answer? What opened the door for everybody to feel comfortable enough punching back? Is one word: Anybody know? It's just one word. Does anybody know what happened over the last year? It happened within the last 12 months that allowed everyone to feel like, oh, we can punch back now. Now it's okay. So all you know the answer. Everybody got it right. It was Trump winning in November. Trump winning in November was a loud and clear sign from all of America, not only to Americans, but to the whole world, that despite all of this negativity that people put on his name, despite the cases put against him, all 4 cases in 2024 designed to derail his campaign, let alone his chances of winning, despite the bullet shot at his damn head, despite the other person who was going to shoot at him, despite all of that, the majority of voting Americans still chose him, knowing that he was counterculture, knowing that he was pushing back. Everyone knew he was pushing back. There was no ambiguity this time around. That you might not have been clear in 2016. Everybody knew in 2024 exactly what he represented out of his mouth, what other people said about him out of their mouths, and people said, yeah, we want that. And him winning told everybody, okay, new rules. That's what happened. And this ad from American Eagle was seeded by Trump winning. Had Kamala won, I don't think we'd see this ad. Now, some of you might think that's a stretch. I don't think so. Had Kamala won, I don't think this ad would have come out. They would have did something. They wouldn't have did this. Because right now it's wide open. When Trump won, he kicked the door wide open and said, listen, the traditional values that many of you have been bullied into no longer espousing, talking about, standing on, and speaking about, I'm letting you know that they're back. You can talk about them. You can talk about them. You can say them out loud. You can live them. You can breathe them. And you know that there's a good chance that anybody you meet, more likely than not, they agree with you. The election told you that. Now, media outlets like Teen Vogue, for example, they said that this is harmful or tone deaf by design. Let's see if we can find what Teen Vogue said, because Teen Vogue is out here sounding stupid. Let's see if we can find it. Teen Vogue. I don't know if this would be so easy to find, but let's see if we can find it. So Teen Vogue. No, that's not it. So Sweeney has another E on him. So Teen Vogue put an article out online, and let's see if I can find some of what they said here. They said, this is a little bit too long. I don't know if I can read this whole thing, but let me see if I can find what this article. This might not be the main thing that they said. This just looks like an article that they're trying to look like they're just being objective journalists about the whole thing, but forget about that. So the campaign rejects moral messaging and embraces aesthetic pleasure and sex appeal. Yes, it does. I'm open to that. All right. Shout out to moral aesthetic. Shout out to sex appeal. We all want it. We are all warm-blooded, and we are all, many of us are heterosexual. We want this. Even the women want it. So American Eagle's silence is interpreted as some say they're being cowardly because they're saying nothing. Others say it's strategic power. I say it's strategic power. You don't have to say anything. You put out a great ad that gets everybody talking. The dumbest thing you could do is come out and start talking. You ain't got to say nothing. You put it out, let the whole world interpret it and talk about it and argue about it for a week, and you say absolutely nothing. And guess what everybody's doing while they're arguing about it? They're talking about you. Why would you jump into the middle of the conversation and stop that? Just let them keep going. Let them keep talking about you. So American Eagle needs to say nothing. So sales have gone up. They said the American Eagle stock price jumped, and it proved that people are buying what the ad represents. Let's see if we can find their stock price. I did hear that it went up like 10%. American Eagle stock. So American Eagle stock is $11.27 per share right now. Over the last month, it is up 15% in the last month, but in the last 5 days is down 5%, and today is down 2%. But I like to go a little bit further out. 5 years out, American Eagle stock is, last 5 years, their stock is up 12%. There's $11 a share, so this is gettable, easy to get in. You can buy fractional shares, you can buy $1, but it did jump like the day that it came out. I don't like those quick, it went up one day real quickly. Okay. So critics won't let go. It proves that the culture war is now fought through denim. Not really. I think that the culture war is pretty much won. I think Trump winning ended the war is over. And this is a direct hit on cancel culture, something that people call uglification. I didn't know that was a word. And the obsession with inclusivity optics, which I already broke down and explained to you all. But even beauty now is being politicized, which is what is crazy. All right, that's crazy. That you got to politicize beauty. That now there's an argument. There's a debate happening right now over, can people use beauty to promote a product or promote an idea, which to me sounds crazy. If you like looking at pretty girls, then you should use, if you know that your customer rather likes looking at pretty girls, you'd be stupid to not use pretty girls to sell your product. What are you doing? Are you trying to hurt your own business? So you're not going to use pretty girls because somebody might be mad that you used a pretty girl? If I know my customers want to see pretty girls, I'm going to show you as many pretty girls as I can find. If I can't find one, I'll make one. I'll go on AI and make a pretty girl if pretty girls are going to help sell my product. I'm not going to show you some quote unquote inclusionary body positivity nonsense just so I can get a pat on the head from the woke side. For what? And hurt my business? I'm in the business of making money. All right, everyone who's in business, and this is especially useful that this was an advertising campaign by a company that is in business, a public company on the stock exchange, because they're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of including people. They're not in the business of making you feel safe. They're not in the business of making you feel seen. They're not in the business of making you feel observed. They're not in the business of whatever makes everybody feel like they're part of the in group. Everybody ain't part of the in group. That's the reason why you have pretty girls. Is if every girl was pretty, you wouldn't have to call them pretty. It would just be girls. If every man was rich, you wouldn't have to call him rich. You would just say men. You understand? We use these words for a reason. Words matter. We use the distinctions to make sure people know that there are people over here and there are people over here. There are levels to this shit. And that's what American Eagle jumped into. And again, I mostly give a round of applause to whoever is heading the marketing team at American Eagle, because they had to have some balls to do this. Even despite what I said about Trump winning in 2024, giving the signal to everybody, somebody still had to jump out there and do it. They jumped out there and did it. And you see, it took them 7 months, 8 months. They probably shot the campaign a long time ago, but it took them all that time to even get around to doing it. Somebody had to have the balls to do it first. Now that they did it, it's going to be like the 4-minute mile. All right. Pay attention to these next 150 days, the last 5 months of 2025. Pay attention. You're going to see this. So I do want to get into the comments here, folks. I want to make sure we get to comments. We started a little bit late, but I will stick around and get to the comments. But one thing I need to do before we do that, I need to take a restroom break. I need to run to the restroom real quick because this is going to be a longer one here today. So I need you all to entertain yourselves for about, I would try to play this ad by Sydney Sweeney, but I'm wary of TikTok. TikTok's been playing around with you can't publish content from other people. So I need you all to entertain yourselves for literally 90 seconds. I'm going to run to the restroom and I'll be right back. And then I'm going to take questions and comments. So you got questions and comments. I'll be right back. Please get us up to 80,000 likes while I'm going. Just tap the screen, get the likes up. This is definitely a 100K day, folks. I'm going to stick around and answer the questions. Let me run to the restroom. I'll be right back. 90 seconds. All right, we are here. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around during our commercial break. We are getting to the questions and the comments. I'm not sure I saw any on Instagram. I did not. So I'm going to TikTok. TikTok is on you all here. You got questions and comments, go ahead and post them in the comments. I cannot get all the way back to the top, so don't be mad if I didn't see your comment. You can post it again, but don't spam me. All right, please don't spam my comments. I don't want to have to kick you out. So Eddie M said, I don't think they're objecting to what she said. I think they object to the white beauty standard. Yeah, that's fine. I get it. I understand that, Eddie, that they're objecting to the white beauty standard, and I'm saying why. Why are people objecting to the white beauty standard? The majority of Americans are white, and half of them are heterosexual men who like pretty white females. If I'm running a business and I want to sell things to people, I want to sell to as many people as possible, I have to consider who I'm selling to. Demographics of America is more than half the people are white, then half of them are men. If the men got the money in their pockets, I got to ask myself, what's going to get these men to take money out of their pockets? First, I got to get their attention before I get their money. I got to show them some pretty girls. I got to show them some pretty white girls because that's what they like. I mean, that's the game. Kathleen said, people don't get the play on words, jeans and jeans. They're offended by everything. Well, no, people do get the play on words, Kathleen. That's why they're offended. Is that people are taking that double entendre and they're interpreting it the way that they want to interpret. Same way people interpret MAGA to mean something negative instead of something positive. It's a choice of interpretation. John said, I would always pick Beyonce before I would Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Kardashians, Jessica Alba, etc. Well, John, to each his own. And even if you would pick Beyonce, Beyonce is slim and pretty. Now you're not just picking, you're not picking no Lizzo, you're picking Beyonce. All right, so I get what you're saying there, but I mean, it ain't like it's a virtue. It's still Beyonce. Eddie M said, I already answered that one. Anthony said, American Eagle stocks are soaring right now. Well, they were soaring for a day or two, but it's going to be more of a long-term play than the short term. Rhett Mice, Muddy Man, thanks for the follow. Please keep liking a lot, folks. Thanks for getting me to 80K. Kanye said, Kanye, so you're saying he is right exploiting Bianca. He is marketing her. All right, so John, now right after I responded to what you said about Beyonce, I got to give you the Straw Man of the Day award. So John LL Beast Mode gets the straw man of the day. Straw man is the common logical fallacy that people use when they hear something that they disagree with on some level. And what they do is they take what you said, they reframe it into something that you did not say, and then they represent it in the form of either a question or a comment or something that they're ridiculing or attacking. And they're attacking the cheap version, the cheapened straw man version of your point rather than the actual version of your point. So what John says here is, so you're saying, now pay attention, straw man is often given away. The tell for the straw man is the so you're saying. So you're saying, Kanye, whose name I didn't even mention, that he is right. So you're saying that Kanye's right. So we already know this is a straw man because he's bringing up somebody I never mentioned. And then he's using so you're saying. Then you're saying he is right. So you're offering me a binary, right or wrong, by exploiting. Again, you're using this loaded language. He's exploiting. And he mentioned this woman, Bianca, who was either Kanye's ex. I don't know if he's still married to her. Whatever their situation is, that woman that Kanye had naked out on the red carpet. He is marketing her, and she was naked. So, John, you got so many things wrong in this comment. I just explained them all, but this is a straw man. So don't do that again. Sam said, you should talk about how creatively genius the Ralph Lauren ad campaign from this week was. I didn't see it. What is the Ralph Lauren ad campaign? Tina Sal Johnson said, oh, no, you're just on your beauty as well. We want good looking and money making. Well, yes, a good looking man who doesn't have money and a good looking man who does have money. Which one you picking, Tina? Probably the one who has the money. So men do get judged by looking good. Yes, looking good is the first thing a woman will notice because you can't tell if a man has resources or not just by looking at him. Because a man could look good but not have resources. A man could look just okay but have a lot of resources. All right, again, you go to Vegas, LA, Miami, New York. Okay, you'll see a whole bunch of men who don't look that good, but they got resources. And if you want to know how you can be sure, look at the girl they got. You go to Miami, anywhere in South Florida, actually, from West Palm Beach on down, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, South Beach, you're going to see a lot of men who you look at them and you're like, okay. And then you look at the girl, you're like, how's that possible? I just told you how. In big cities, you see it all the time. LA, Vegas, Miami. I'll say those are the top three for what I just described. So Tina, in theory, what you're saying could be correct. Maybe in Nebraska or South Dakota, but not in the big city. Not as often, let's just say. Thanks for the follows, everybody who followed me new. So John was saying this woman, Bianca, she's pretty. So she's a pretty fair-skinned woman. And he said, so is Kanye Marketing strategy is genius or exploitation. Well, first of all, you offer me a false binary. You give me only two choices. And secondly, Kanye's name and Bianca's name were not even mentioned in this live. So this is also known as a Socratic trap. You're asking me a question that has nothing to do with my topic to make it about what you want to talk about. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Starkey said, now you'll see more ads like this because the pushback will draw more attention to their brand. And because it actually works. Let's not leave that part out, Starkey. They're not just doing it. It's not trolling. People are not doing this to troll. They're doing it because it works. Using a pretty feminine woman to market your product sells products. We got 100 years of evidence that this is true. This is not new. Again, for some of you, it seems new because we haven't seen it for 5 years. But this is not new. Sam Vancy said, black people have never systemically oppressed white people. Come on, bro. What does this have to do with it? What are you responding to? VX said the gymnastics you're doing to justify this. I'm not doing any gymnastics. I think I laid out a pretty straight line, clear, logical argument. But where was my gymnastics? AZ Patriot said Jaguar went back to the original roots of advertising. Okay, so according to what I'm hearing some of you say is that other companies have done the same thing, just their ads didn't go as viral as American Eagle. So American Eagle just got theirs to go viral, but others have been kind of throwing this out there. Fair enough. I believe that to be true. I don't look at this. I don't watch TV, so I don't know about all this stuff. Brandon said they taught us to be politically correct. LMAO. Well, they taught you to be politically correct. They didn't teach me. They tried. They failed. Ramuza said, TF you talking about? Or which part? What part was not clear to you? VX said, I don't know if she's a good actress. He's quoting me, but I'm on live ranting still. Yes, I don't know if she's a good actress. Do I need to know anything about her acting to talk about the ad? So what you're asking is non sequitur. You're framing this as I guess, somewhat of an implied ridicule. But what do I need to know about Sydney Sweeney's acting ability to talk about her in an American Eagle ad? The whole concept is about the ad. It has nothing to do with her career or whatever the hell she does. I couldn't name not one thing she's ever done. Not one. B said, many beautiful women of color. I'm sure there are. And if I'm trying to sell to men of color, then I'll use them to sell my product. But if I'm trying to sell to white people, I'm using a white person. That's just basic logic. Well, heck said, exclusionary. Are they saying only white people can buy those jeans? No, what they're saying is using a pretty girl is exclusionary to using not pretty girls, is what they're talking about. It's not about skin color necessarily. I think they're more talking about the beauty aspect because she's a pretty girl and she presents herself in a very feminine way and she has looks that not every woman has. So she has tools that not every woman can use. It's exclusionary because not every woman can do what she did in that ad. And I say exactly. That's the reason why Sydney is Sydney and other people are other people. Stella said her genetics aren't a blessing. She's talking about recessive traits. Stella, I would strongly disagree with that. Her genetics are a blessing. So there's a reason why she's an actress. There's a reason why she's a famous actress. It ain't because she's a great actor. And she might be a great actor. Again, I don't know. But that ain't the reason she's a star. Same reason Beyonce's a star is not because she's a great dancer and singer. Beyonce as a singer ain't that great. I'd say Beyonce is about a 7 vocally. Looks-wise, she's attractive. And she just has a package that allows her to be a star. Being a star is more about the way you do things and how you do things than it is about what you do, especially in the entertainment business. And the sports world is a little bit different because in sports, you have to actually do something to be good. You got to actually win the game. The ball has to go in the basket. Somebody pitches the ball, you got to actually hit it. In entertainment, it is highly subjective. So the biggest stars you see in entertainment, especially women, often are very physically attractive. That's not a mistake. It's not like all of a sudden you become a better singer because you're pretty, but it is. It's not, but it is at the exact same time. You notice that a lot of Hollywood stars or entertainment stars who are females, they're often very pretty, even if talent-wise, they're not even that good. This is very true. There are singers out there who are way better vocally than Beyonce, but they ain't Beyonce. Why? Because Beyonce is a star, and being a star is about much more than her ability to sing. Jennifer Lopez, is she a good singer? Not really. Jennifer Lopez is like a 5 vocally. Vocally, she's like a 5. But physically, in her prime, she was a 10. That's the reason why J-Lo's a star. And many others. Mr. Nobody said, physical beauty has been celebrated since the days of... Yes, exactly. And it's still celebrated. It's just people got bullied into not celebrating it and acting like it's not a thing. It is a thing. Please keep liking the live, everybody. Let's get the 100K by 10 o'clock. That's 12 minutes from now. Please keep liking the live, everybody. We're at 83,000 on TikTok. Let's get to 85 quickly. Let's get to 85 before I continue reading these comments. Please get to 85,000 likes before I continue reading these comments. So like the live on TikTok, just tap the screen. And the little hearts will come up at the bottom left corner there. Just tap the screen like this, and the lights will come up. Let's get to 100K likes in the next 12 minutes, please, and I'll go overtime. If we can get the 100K by 10 o'clock, I will go overtime and read more comments. Let's get the likes up, please. Get the likes up. I don't want to have to pull Kevin Samuels on y'all. For those of you who know who Kevin Samuels is, he's a guy who used to do streams every day on YouTube. He passed away like 3 years ago. But if he was doing his live and he didn't like how many likes he had, he would stop talking. He would turn on some intermission music, and he wouldn't talk again until the lights got up. TikTok Ref 3, thank you for the gifts over there on TikTok. I see you. Appreciate you. Please keep the likes coming. Let's get to 100K by 10 o'clock. I'll go overtime if we get to 100K by 10 o'clock. Let's see. Jane Bush says, slim, pretty girls that present themselves well. Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, Jane, when a girl is slim and pretty, she doesn't have to try to present herself well. She's already presenting herself well just by being slim and pretty. She only had to try. Now, if they start trying and they get kind of coached on how to use it, then it can become a superpower. For example, Sydney Sweeney. And for example, Jennifer Lopez. For example, Beyonce. So there's a white person, a Latin person, and a black person. So there's some inclusion for y'all. Those of y'all want some inclusion, I just gave it to you. So, yeah, all y'all understand it. The attractive lady. Ashley Mack said, reminds me of corporate life. 29 years in BP. Didn't fit DEI flavor of the month. Then it was over. What does that mean, Ashley? Lahek said, I miss ladies' night at bars. Well, Lahek, depends on where you live. Where you live. Go to a big city is always ladies' night. You go to South Beach, it's ladies' night every night at the club. Every night is ladies' night. There ain't no nights for anything other than the ladies. Because the ladies bring the men bring the money. That's how it works. User said, this is the type of guy who says, I don't see color. No, that's a straw man. So straw man of the day goes to user 6336. I do not say I don't see color. I absolutely see color. I will see color, point it out, tell you what color I see, and then tell you what I think about it. So I don't step around or walk around any subjects. You must be new around here. Anybody who's followed even just these live streams, and you don't listen to anything else that I say, you just listen to my live streams. Nobody here will say that I walk around any topic. Only thing I walk around on here is being careful with certain words, just because TikTok has very sensitive filters. And they've kicked me off 15 different times in the last year for saying the wrong thing. But other than that, I avoid no topic. So miss me with that one. Nice try, though. Sarcastic Fun said, because everyone wants to be with the quote-unquote in crowd and beautiful people. Yes, and is not people even consciously wanting to be in. Sarcastic Fun, what you said is true, but it's not conscious. It's unconscious. Same way that a man who has a high level of presence and a high level of masculine energy, you can tell he's comfortable in his own skin and he seems confident and disciplined and poised. A man who's like that, even if he's not talking, other men are attracted to him. Even men are attracted to him, not sexually attractive. They just want to be around him, and women notice him. He only had to say anything just because of his energy. And it's the same thing with a woman who is very pretty and poised and confident in her skin and confident how she moves around. Other men are attracted to her. Other women want to be like her just because of her energy. So it's not a conscious thing. It's an unconscious thing. It's wired in us as human beings that we're attracted to that type of energy in a man or a woman. Patty said, I miss why don't scroll Instagram. Well, Patty, I was talking to the men. Women can scroll all day. Men should not be scrolling Instagram because Instagram has basically legislated soft porn, soft P word. Excuse me. I shouldn't say that on TikTok. The soft P word has been legislated on Instagram. That's why men should not scroll Instagram. It's designed to suck your time away. They take away your time. They use that time. They monetize it. They make money off it. You make nothing except you lose your whole day to scroll on Instagram. And trust me, I have a lot of men who are coaching clients. I know that this is very much a problem for a lot of men. The way you eliminate the problem is not try to fight it, is that you just don't scroll. I don't even use Instagram. I get on Instagram, I post my story, and I get off Instagram. I post my posts through other apps. I do not know what's happening. How many people I follow on Instagram? So I look at my Instagram. I do use it, but I'm not active on Instagram. So on Instagram, I'm following 213 people, but I don't like anybody's posts. I don't comment on anybody's shit because I do not scroll Instagram. So I don't know what's happening. So if I follow you on Instagram and I actually know you in person and you posted something about your kid or your family or your grandma had surgery, I'm sorry that I didn't say anything because I will not know about it if the only place you posted is Instagram, because I don't follow anything that anybody does on Instagram. It's one of my hacks to productivity. I don't scroll on TikTok. I don't scroll on Instagram. I don't even respond to comments on TikTok. I just do these live streams, then I get off. The only comments I respond to is you all on these live streams. That's it. I don't do any engagement on any social media except X. The only social media app where you will see me back and forth is on X. So if you want to back and forth with me, you follow me on X. My name on X is Dre All Day. I don't do any other engagement on any social media app. That's one way that I save myself a ton of time and energy every day. Guac and Roll said thoughts on the Joey Swole situation. Well, he apologized. He apologized stupidly, and he played himself. So Joey Swole is a guy he's a wrestler, right? I didn't know who he was before. He's a wrestler. When Hulk Hogan passed away, he posted a video basically celebrating Hulk Hogan and was a fan of Hulk Hogan. Then later on, a bunch of people said, well, Hulk Hogan was a bad guy. He was a racist. And then Joey Swole came out and apologized for celebrating Hulk Hogan. That was a biatch move, Joey Swole. If you saw it, you apologized like a biatch. And all that did was give the mob who had came at him in the first place more fuel and more energy, and they just trashed him more. Even after he apologized, they just got more bold and they had trashed him more. And then he came out basically waving the white flag like, I quit. I don't know what he was quitting. I guess he was going to stop using social media for a few days. The problem Joey Swole had was not that he celebrated Hulk Hogan, is that he apologized. He should have said, kiss my ass. I like Hulk Hogan. I'm a fan of Hulk Hogan. If y'all don't like him, what the hell that got to do with me? That's what he should have did. He didn't do that. He tried to appease the mob. He tried to play both sides, and he played himself. So that's my thoughts on the Joey Swole situation. Ashley Mack said, what's your company? I think we did one of your trainings, and it was the best I've ever sat through. My company's called Work on Your Game. And what we do here is we have a system for weaponizing performance, discipline, and accountability. So what company are you with, Ashley? I wouldn't know if we ever license any training to you. Miss J said, I'm stuck on you saying women don't spend money. That's such a joke to say. Miss J, directionally, do you understand my point? Miss J, are you a feminist? Please don't split hairs with me. Everybody understands what I say when I'm saying when I say the men spend the money. At a nightclub, most of the money is coming out of the pockets of men. Are you disagreeing with this point? Men are buying the tables. Men are buying the bottles. Men are buying drinks for women. Right, that's where the money's coming from. Ask anybody who owns a nightclub where the money comes from. Gmo said, you know damn well who our ad was trying to resonate with. Well, you tell me, who was our ad trying to resonate with? My answer is it was resonating with heterosexual men. That's why they got a feminine, pretty girl to do it. Jane Bush said, remember Sweeney saying the words the company wrote, not her words. Yes. Don't matter who wrote it. Gmo said, except the cheese is eugenics and the rats are white supremacists. No, I disagree. That's not true. The cheese is what is going to draw in the people. What is going to draw in the people? I don't think most people, everyday people, even know what eugenics is. That's the reason why I gave an explanation of what it is. Most people don't even know what eugenics is. Nobody's waking up every day and saying, I'm white. How do we make sure that only white people reproduce and not everybody else? That's not a common thing that is happening these days. And to call people white supremacists just to paint yourself as I'm assuming you're not white, as a victim is old. This is exactly what's getting pushed back against. This brand of thinking is dying a slow death. So Gmo, I suggest you pivot quickly. Ashley said, if it separates, it segregates. Yes, and segregation is good in certain aspects. Again, you go to a college campus, you got the people who are in the fraternity, you got the people who are not in. You got the sorority girls and you got the girls who ain't in the sorority. You got the football team, you got everybody else not on the football team. So separating and segregating is good when it's used in a certain way, especially if it's based on there's a bar that needs to be cleared to get into this room. I mean, look at a college campus itself. To get onto a college campus, what you got to do? You got to get accepted into the college. If you didn't get accepted, you ain't going to be walking around that campus. And that's the reason why college is valued, because you can't just walk onto the campus. You got to do something to get in. So this matters in any aspect of life. Miss J said, let's not make it so the less capable can be included or have access. So the Miss J, based on the temperature of your previous comment, looks like you're trying to be sarcastic here. You get the straw man of the day number 3. Shout out to Miss J for the straw man of the day number 3. She says, let's not make it so those less capable can be included or have access. So this is it's sarcasm. I'm reading it as sarcasm. So Miss J, if I got it wrong, you tell me that this is not sarcasm, but it sounds like it. She says, let's not make it so those less capable can be included or have access. All right, so this is an appeal to morality, first of all. It's an appeal to pity, second of all. She's trying to take the moral high ground. She's trying to make it seem like people are being excluded because a pretty white girl got used in a jeans ad. And let's not make it so those less capable can be included. Who said that? I didn't say that. So you're reframing my argument into something that is easier for you to attack so you can play the moral high ground card. Miss me with this nonsense. I don't know what liberal university you learned this trash at or what training you got at whatever corporate company you work at that had to hire a DEI speaker. But please come with some better substance, Miss J. That's not acceptable around here. Chris said, who is American Eagle's target audience? Well, men and women. Have to advertise to the audience that can spend money. Yes, and American Eagle is mostly selling to white people. So they went and got a pretty white girl to sell to white people. User said black society clubs are like that. Like what? Miss J said inclusion is 100% not progressive. 100% not progressive. What exactly does that mean? I need more context, Miss J. What do you mean by that? Miss J said, why don't you raise the bar on your character? Whoa. Another moral high ground played by Miss J. She went way high ground right there. Ms. J said, upholding a standard is not equivalent to inclusion. No, you got it backwards. Upholding a standard is exclusion. Upholding standards is exclusion. When you have a standard, you are excluding anyone who does not meet the standard. That's the very point. You have a college, for example. There's a standard to get into the college. Who determines the standard? The admissions department. They determine who gets in and who doesn't get in. The football team, there's a standard. You want to be on the football team, you got to earn a roster spot. If you don't earn one of these 53 roster spots or 75, however many there are, you ain't going to be on the football team. Upholding the standard creates exclusion by definition because everyone has to meet the standard in order to get in. Doctors have to meet a standard. In order to be a doctor, you must have a license. You got to be licensed. If you don't get the license, you're not a doctor. You didn't meet the standard. If you want to practice law in the state of Florida, you got to pass the Florida bar exam. If you don't pass the bar exam, you didn't meet the standard. You are excluded by definition. So upholding standards creates exclusion. Without even trying, it creates exclusion. Inclusion means let's remove the standard so that anybody can get into the room. When you allow anyone to come into a room, you lower the value of that room by definition, scientific law called entropy. When you lower the bar and lower standards, you get disorder and chaos naturally. You don't even have to try. This is the way it works. And this is not debatable. It's a scientific fact. Your mom said, you don't understand what the I means in DEI. Yes, I do. It means inclusion. XTR said, people are indoctrinated early on inclusionary by giving everyone trophies in sports. Well, certain people, XTR, depends on their age bracket. Now, if you're 22, yes, you may have been indoctrinated early on. But if you're 50, you weren't indoctrinated early on because this wasn't being taught in the 80s. So user says same with professions. Yes, exactly. As I just said, doctors, lawyers, dentists, you got to pass a certain standard in order to get in the game. Limo said, I love having blonde hair and blue eyes and regurgitating talking points. I don't know what you're saying there. John Henry, thanks for the follow. Pushing positivity, thanks for the follow. So all of you understood the Trump MAGA thing. Your mom said, you have no idea what you're talking about. Well, you're being passive. If I got something wrong, tell me what I got wrong. Just come straight out and tell me what I got wrong instead of saying that I'm wrong. Miss J said, majority of voting Americans did not vote for him. Only 66 of voting Americans voted. That doesn't even make sense. Voting Americans, meaning people who actually cast a vote. So voting Americans is 100%. 100% of voting Americans voted. I think what you mean is the voter eligible Americans, which is not what I said. So you're misconstruing my point to try to split hairs and find a way to be right. Miss J, this is you're reflecting sign language. All right, Kevin Samuels alert. This is sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. All right, that's sign language, Miss J. All right, do you talk to your husband like this? And You said only 66%. I think you meant voting eligible Americans, which is not what I said. So you're challenging a point that was not even made. I said voting Americans. The majority of voting Americans chose Donald Trump, i.e., he got more votes than his opponent did, which is statistically, factually true. Itty Bitty Bossy, thanks for the follow. Itty Bitty said Dunkin' Donuts has a commercial as well. All right, great. So several companies have done these kind of things. Okay. Marky Man said just order 2 of your books. I hope you got them through our website, Marky Man. You can get a better deal if you got them through us. KCL, thanks for the follow. User said, who's American Eagle? That's a company that sells clothes, mostly to white folks. Hannah K said, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's an ad. Yes, I don't know what part you're calling crazy, but okay. Itty Bitty said, check out Dunkin' Donuts. I haven't seen it. Where do y'all be seeing these ads? I just know about this because it was trending on social media, on X specifically. When I say social media, I mean X. Let's see. Stress said, great marketing is never, never confusing. That's right. And that's the reason why this ad worked. Kathleen said, this isn't anything new. They always use pretty girls. Yes, and they should keep using pretty girls. Everybody likes to see pretty girls. Brandon Joseph said, people try to make you feel bad about how to make your money. What people? They want to say you sold your soul. Well, Brandon, you got to make some better friends. Whoever these people are you're talking about, you just got to make better friends. Captain Crunch said, that means you're catering to a certain side, which means you're targeting on a certain demographics. I don't know what you're responding to, Captain Crunch, but just taking this out of context, what you said, catering to a certain side and targeting a certain demographic is called being smart. That's called marketing. That's what marketing is. When you're marketing, you have to choose your target audience. I was talking to one of my coaching clients about this very thing yesterday. Who is your target customer? The number one person you want to sell to, who are they? When you know who they are, all your marketing should be directed at that person, not at everybody. You're not including everybody. You'll spend a whole lot of money trying to market to everybody and making no money in exchange. You got to target your target customer. Who is it? You got to know who it is. And when you know who your target customer is, you focus on them because they're the ones who are going to buy it because you made it for them. They'll buy it. Then people who are a little bit outside of the target, they'll buy. Then more people who are a little bit outside, they buy. And then you get these concentric circles. It's kind of like a dartboard. You got the main bullseye in the middle. You keep hitting the bullseye. People at bigger circles outside of the bullseye will eventually buy your product. For example, how many of you own an iPhone? Almost all of you got an iPhone. How many of you ever slept outside of an Apple store just to be the first one to buy the new phone when it comes out? Any of you ever done that? Or camped outside the store? I'm guessing most of you have never done that. But who's Apple's target customer? Apple's target customer is the person who will camp outside the store so they can buy the phone the day it comes out. Now, why do they camp outside the store to buy it the day it comes out? They could just get it the next day or a week later or a month later. Why do they do that? They do it because it's part of their identity to be the first one with the new Apple product. Now, most of you are not that, which means you're not Apple's target customer, but yet here you are with an iPhone in your pocket. I got an iPhone. I got another iPhone. I got an iPad. I got a Mac computer. I got AirPods. I got, what's the other Apple stuff? I got Apple Watch. I'm not even their target customer, but I got all their products. So you just got to know who the target customer is. At one specific customer is not bad. It's actually smart. And if you're not doing that, you're stupid. You're throwing away money. XCR said they're against using pretty girls since have you seen the woke women? I get the joke. Man of Steel said the majority of voting in America is the majority of those who voted, not those who could have voted. Yes, exactly, which is what I was correcting Miss J on. She said the 66% of voting in America doesn't even make sense. Bina said, this is the dumbest take. You haven't searched for what the actual backlash is about. Bina, how long have you been watching this live? Because I've been live for almost 2 hours now. Have you caught the whole thing? Because I went through the entire thing in detail. Itty Bitty said, black people don't need no commercial to feel special. We are. Okay, fine. Itty Bitty. We'll just let that comment stand. Carmine said, all the words you yapping out the books behind you should be thicker. What does that even mean? Captain Crunch said, you're saying woke. Tells me, I lost my spot in the comments. Where was that? No, I lost my spot. Where was I? We got a lot of comments here today. Captain Crunch said, you saying woke tells me more about your business decisions. No, it doesn't. That's a straw man right there. Is you saying something, anytime somebody says something like, you said this, or you believe this, or if you think this, that tells me everything about you, or it tells me a lot about you. That's a form of a straw man. It's a form of appeal to ridicule, trying to bait you out of something. If you actually have something to say, Captain Crunch, say it with your chest. Say it directly. I don't respect passivity. Kathleen said, American Eagle marketing team are geniuses. Well, they're not geniuses. They just got some balls. Those are two different things. XTR said, wish you could play Jeopardy music during your break. I used to play stuff during my break, and sometimes I would get no problem from TikTok, and sometimes TikTok would give me a warning and say you can't play certain things. So I don't know what I can do and what I can't do anymore. So I just figured better be safe than sorry and just play nothing. Making Deals said all the books are backwards. Yeah, we tried that. We tried mirroring the screen, but I like it better this way. So that's why I have it that way. If you want to get any of my books, you can get free copies of my books. Just go to the link in my profile. So you don't have to try to read what they said. Kathleen said, people like things that are pleasing to the eye. True. Bree said, who's to say they won't also do this with a black man or woman? Same sentiment and saying could apply. They could, but that wouldn't make sense because what sells is a pretty woman sells better than a pretty man because women are valued in the open marketplace, just in society, period, based on their beauty. Men are not valued based on beauty. Doesn't mean a man can't be pretty and he shouldn't try to look good, but that's not what men are valued on. It's much easier to sell with a woman than to sell with a man. And also got to remember that a lot of times a woman is more likely that a woman will get a man to spend his money on her than a man gets a woman to spend her money on him. So if I'm picking one, I'm going to pick that the man's is the person I'm targeting, and I'm going to use the pretty girl. Hence, this is why you see a lot of pretty girls in ads. You don't see pretty men in ads, not as often as you see pretty women. I mean, you do see pretty men, but not as often as women. Veet413 said, thank you, sir. Someone with a brain. Thank you. Strutzy, thank you for the share. Miss J said, you just don't want to be held accountable with a crying face emoji. So this is an appeal to ridicule. Held accountable by who? Somebody in TikTok leaving a comment? How could you possibly hold me accountable by leaving a comment? I could just ignore your comments. How would you be holding me accountable? Veet said, Beyonce has white ancestry. I don't know where you got that from, but okay. Lachey Tomorrow, thanks for the follow. Kenza Track said, what's up, Dre, all day? What's going on, Kenza? Captain Crunch said, doing it just because it sells doesn't make it morally right, but continue. Well, Captain Crunch, who's the judge of what is morally right? Would that be you or somebody else? Tell me the name of the person who gets to judge what's morally right against what somebody else does. Because if that person exists, I didn't know that they existed. So you tell me the name of the person who gets to judge what's morally right. I don't think you're that person. I'm not that person. I don't even want that job. I didn't know that was a thing. And doing something because it sells is what's called business. The job of a business entity or an entrepreneur running a business is to make money. That is the job of business, is to make money, especially if you're a publicly traded company. You better make money or somebody's going to lose their job. That's the way business works. So clearly you don't understand business and you're trying to use the appeal to morality is what we call what you just said there. Something is morally right. Again, if you can name the person who is the judge of all morals, I want to know that person's name so that anytime I want to question something morally, I can just send the question to that person. Tell me that person's name. Jared said, yes, they're doing it because it works, but it's also white supremacy playing in our face. Jared, that's nonsense. Jared Grandy, this is some nonsense that you just said. They're doing it because it works. That's business. That's what business is. You do things that work. Working in business means what is going to sell products. Using a pretty, fair-skinned, feminine energy woman to sell products to a male audience is smart business. So it works. You should have put a period there, but you didn't. You kept going. You said, but, so you're undoing everything you just said before that. So you undid the good point and then you made a bad point. You said it's also white supremacy playing in our face. How is it white supremacy taking a pretty white girl and using her to sell products to white people? Where's the white supremacy, Jared? Please explain to me how that's white supremacy. American Eagle ain't selling to black people. They sell to white people. So you use a pretty white girl to sell products to white men. What does it have to do with black people? Nothing. You said it's playing in our face. How is it playing in your face? Are you a customer of American Eagle? I'm not saying it's impossible for you to be, but are you the target customer of American Eagle? The answer is no, you're not. Assuming that you're black. I'm looking at, I can see your profile picture looks small on here, but it looks like you're a black guy. You ain't the customer. You ain't the target customer. Excuse me. You might be a customer. You're not the customer. There's a difference. And you're calling this white supremacy, please. Please with this black victim nonsense. Where did y'all learn this stuff? I'm hoping you're under the age of 30, Jared, saying this stupid shit. Sherry said, going back to Calvin Klein using Brooke and Pepsi having Cindy in their commercials. Well, that's when it was normal. See, if this happened in 1990, we wouldn't be talking about it. But people are talking about it because it's 2025. Veet said, you're very intelligent. We need more people like you in the world. I agree. So there's eugenics right there. I need to recreate with more. I need to have as many kids as possible so we can have more people like me. I sound like that bald-headed kickboxer right now, right? I just need to have as many as possible so I can recreate my bloodline as often as possible. Bree said, American Eagle is mostly bought by white preppy folks, though. I don't own and not interested in AE as a brand. Yeah, exactly. White preppy folks. And white preppy is usually men. Preppy usually means a man. All right, it's sold to white men. There are white women as well, but the men come in the store for the women. Kathleen said, if it was a T woman, these yahoos in the comments would be happy. Yes, if it was a T woman, I probably wouldn't be talking about it. User said, I think they use her because she is popular at the time. Well, of course. That's the whole point of brand advertising. Use somebody who's popular or somebody you can make popular. But again, this is not a new thing. Captain Crunch said, it's not all physical in sports. What are you talking about? Captain Crunch, sounds like you're splitting hairs here because you're hearing some things that are leading to your cognitive dissonance. So you're kind of just throwing anything out there to try to counter anything that I said. I played a sport professionally for 10 years. I know sports very well. In the sports world, you must actually perform to become a star. You can't just be pretty in sports, not perform at all, and become a star. If that happens in extremely rare cases. One case would be like Anna Kournikova in tennis. She wasn't that great of a player, but she was good enough to become a pro. Not like she was some bum. Every other star in sports, they have to do some level of performance in order to become a star. In entertainment, performance is highly subjective. What's a good actor versus a bad actor? Good actors versus bad actors. Good singer versus bad singer. It's highly subjective. In the sports world, it's objective because you have a scoreboard. You have to actually win the game in order to be good. In entertainment, that's not the way it works. Eddie Sumlin said, Jasmine Sullivan is 10s across the board. I'm not quite sure what she looks like, but let's just take your word for it. Okay. Mr. Ohio says that, watch out, the Beehive is going to attack you talking about Beyonce. Well, they know it's the truth. Beyonce is about a 7.5 when it comes to vocals. But she's a star. She made a star out of herself, which is not just about her ability to sing. There are women singing at local piano bars who could sing better than Beyonce, but they're not stars. Nobody knows who they are. Christopher Barker said, so are you saying, everybody. Y'all know the routine. Someone starts a comment with, so are you saying? What does that mean? Straw man on the way. So let's see what Christopher Barker actually says. We're not sure yet. He says, are you saying you had to be pretty to be successful as an actress? So number one, no, that's not what I'm saying. Number two, this is a straw man because what you're doing is rephrasing what I said and something that I didn't say. Then you're presenting it as a Socratic trap, a question that you want me to answer based on your reframing of what I actually said, which is your version of what I said. Anytime you take something that I said and you reframe it into something that you say, you make it worse because I can articulate my thoughts better than you can. So that makes this a straw man and you just weaken the argument. But I'll answer your false question here. No, you don't have to be pretty to be successful as an actress because there are actresses out there who get cast for roles where being pretty is not necessary. Maybe you got to be something else in that particular role. I'm saying that a lot of actresses who become stars, big stars that are bigger than their acting roles, such as Sydney Sweeney, such as Jennifer Lopez, she did some acting, such as Scarlett Johansson. Again, I've never seen any of the movies any of these women been in, but I know their names. That's the point. I don't watch movies. I don't even watch TV. They became stars because their physical attraction transcended their acting ability. I said that already. Now I'll say it again. Captain Crunch says, so you're acting. Here's another straw man right after this. My Beyonce didn't sing in the church choir. What the hell does that have to do with anything? All right, Captain Crunch, you're throwing out nonsense now. So unless you come with something else of substance, you've gotten enough attention for the day. Bree says, what I see is a white person can't say they have good genetics without being as, yes, exactly. Vane Ali said, vocally, Beyonce is like a 3. No, I wouldn't go that far. Beyonce is about a 7 vocally. She's not bad. Captain Crunch said, J-Lo cannot sing. Well, that one I said, J-Lo is about a 5. She's about a 5 vocally, excuse me. M.H. Josh says the exception, Whoopi Goldberg. Now, Whoopi Goldberg, is that her career was mostly acting? I know she used to act. Is that what she was doing, acting? And it's not that she's necessarily the exception because, again, Whoopi Goldberg wasn't cast into roles where she was supposed to be this sexual character. She never played that role. That wasn't the job of her role. And there are many roles out there where the job is not to be some sexual character. Look at Tyler Perry with Medea. Is Medea a sexual character? No. Medea doesn't, she's not playing that role. In different movies, you got different roles. Veet says, sorry, but blonde hair and blue eyes is still top of the food chain. Yeah, we know. I thought I said that already. TX Widget said, I'm so glad to hear you explaining all this with common sense. Well, thank you. Samantha, thank you for the share. Man of Steel said, Madonna wasn't exceptionally attractive or an exceptional singer, but she put together a package. And Madonna made a star of herself. I don't know too many Madonna songs. I can't even picture what she looks like, but Madonna made a star of herself that transcended music. That's the reason why we all know who she is. So the whole point is these women who I'm mentioning, they transcend the very thing you know about them, and they become bigger than the thing. You don't even have to watch the thing to know who they are. Everybody knows who Beyonce is, even if you don't listen to R&B music. You know who Madonna is, even if you don't listen to pop. You know who Michael Jordan is, even if you don't watch basketball. They transcended their job because they made themselves bigger than the actual job. Most people who have their job only do the job. And you can have a good career just doing the job. There's a bunch of actresses whose names we don't know. They're good actresses, but we don't know them off. If you don't watch movies, you don't know who they are. If they walked past me, I wouldn't know who they were. I wouldn't know Sydney Sweeney either. As I told you, all these white girls look alike to me. But most of you would know who she was. You would say, oh, that's Sydney Sweeney right there. Where? Oh, her? Oh, okay. Veet said, love Kevin Samuels. Yeah, shout out to Kevin Samuels. Samantha, thanks for the follow. Making Deals said, flip your background for us to read the book titles. No, I just told you. Go to workonyourgame.live and you can get all the books. I'll give you links to them right there. Jane says, Sydney Sweeney was doing a job. Those words are what Ahe told her to say. Hate her for working is BS. Well, they're hating the ad. A lot of people are just mad at the ad and the fact that American Eagle used this pretty white woman to get the point across. They're not mad at Sydney Sweeney. They're mad at the idea, and she just happens to represent the idea. Francis said, like Jennifer Hudson and Fantasia are vocals stronger than Beyonce, but don't have the same draw. Yes, good point. Both of them are probably better vocalists than Beyonce. Jennifer Hudson and Fantasia, but Beyonce is a bigger star than both of them put together. Veet said, are you on YouTube? Yes, I am. I'm live on YouTube right now. All the comments are on TikTok. That's why I'm looking at TikTok. Melissa, thanks for the follow. Yeah, 10 more minutes, folks, then we'll wrap this up. TikTok ref said, OT today. I drive around and enjoy your lives as opposed to radio. Shout out to people listening to this instead of the radio. Chelsea said, men buy at the club. Shopping women spend the money. I'm a manager of them all. Okay, fair enough point. But those shopping women, whose money are they spending? Now, if they're a stay-at-home mom, whose money is that? Veet said, most black people make everything about race. Not most black people, Veet. I got to push back on that. It's not most black people. We call it the vocal minority. There's a vocal minority of black people who are, what's the word I'm looking for here? They are incentivized to make everything about race because it draws a lot of attention. Digital Whisperer said, I went shopping yesterday and AE told the entire staff loved their new ad. Great. Well, they didn't do it, but that's fine. Carla, Indiana, good to see you on here. Brandon said, you will win way more by being an asset versus a liability. Yes, why'd you say that? Doc said, I missed the start of the conversation. What's the issue with the ad? Well, people are mad because a pretty white girl got used and she said have good genes and it's a double entendre. That's why people are mad. Christopher said, what sport did I play? Basketball. Kuya bin Yasharal, thank you for the lightning bolt and the gifter badge. Wayne said, Viola Davis plays her roles well. Now, Viola Davis is a little bit older, right? Yeah, so a woman like her, like she might get cast into a role that's not looking for someone to just be. It's not like every woman in every movie needs to be this sexual thing, unless the movie's the Playboy movie or something like that. Hugh Hefner. There are different roles in life. Not every woman you come across needs to be playing a sexual role every time you see her. So there are different roles in different places. But who becomes a star? Usually it's the pretty girl. That's just what it is. And who transcends acting usually is the prettiest girl who's able to make a star of herself that goes beyond the screen. Again, so when people don't even look at the thing that you do, but they know who you are, that's when you become bigger than your job. J-Lo, Beyonce, Sydney Sweeney, I guess, is an example, at least for now. But I wouldn't know Sydney Sweeney if she walked past me on the street. I would know J-Lo. I would know Beyonce. I'm trying to think of a white female I would know. I would know Jennifer Aniston if I saw her. I'm trying to think about a white female who I would know if she walked past me on the street. I could recognize her and say, oh, that's ABC. I would know Katy Perry. I'm trying to think who else. I'm not sure I would know Madonna. It's harder when they get older. I would know Kris Jenner. I would know Kim Kardashian. Like, I would know them. I've seen Kim Kardashian in Miami more than once. I've seen all the Kardashian females in Miami. But I would know them if I saw them, even if I don't watch their stuff. Jane said, does Beyonce have country music? Yeah, I think she's on tour doing a country music album tour right now. Angelica said, I love your suit. Thank you. Okay, so we got through all the comments here today. Well, at least all the ones that I could see. 114,000 likes here today. Excellent, everybody. We started late, so I went a little bit longer today. Went overtime. Marky said, they all start off beautiful and end up playing the old lady. Well, if you're an old lady, you got to play the old lady. Marky, man, you got to adjust. You got to work with what you got. Use what you got to get what you want. So if you are actually an old lady, then you probably want to get cast as an old lady. What else are you going to play? Can't play something that you're not. Christopher said, did I hear you say all white girls look the same to you? I could have heard wrong. Yes, you heard me say that. It's a tongue-in-cheek comment. I've said it like 3 times here today. It's a tongue-in-cheek joke, but it's also, there's some truth in my jokes. A lot of truth is said in jest. As I said, if Sydney Sweeney walked by, I would say that girl's pretty, but I wouldn't say that's Sydney Sweeney. I would say she's pretty. I could see 10 other girls and say they're pretty too. If they were all white, I would say they're all pretty, but which one is which? I don't know. Which one's a movie star? Which one works at fucking Abercrombie? Which one works at McDonald's? Which one's a college student? Which one's doing nothing right now? I don't know. I couldn't tell one from the other. I could just say they're all pretty. So that's what I meant. So yes, that's exactly what you heard. These white girls all look the same to me. All right, said it again. All right, so everybody, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like it, come back tomorrow. If you're not sure how you feel, come back tomorrow. The live replay is on my YouTube channel. The link to my YouTube is in my TikTok profile. Make sure you follow me on at least one other platform. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram link is in my profile on TikTok. So follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. My Facebook page is Work on Your Game University. I didn't go live on Facebook today because for some reason the system was tripping. But I am live on LinkedIn also. Those of you who are more business focused, I'm on LinkedIn. I am on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. And I'm on X. The only place I engage actively on social media, if I engage at all, is on X. So X is where I do my engagement. That is where you can see right here on my X profile. You see me live. I'm actually, y'all looking at me, looking at myself on X right now. That's the live right there. That's the live. Sydney Sweeney's Good Genes. It says on X I got 99 people watching. I don't know if that's total or 99 in the moment. So that's me on X right there. My X profile name is Dre All Day. My actual name is Dre Baldwin. So for those of you who know, my actual name is Dre Baldwin. My company is called Work on Your Game. So that's why y'all see Work on Your Game. That's the name of my company. It's the name of my brand. So you look up Work on Your Game, look up Dre Baldwin. You'll see me wherever you look. You'll see that we own it. You want to work with me directly. We have coaching programs. We do consulting. We do training. And we license our system out to companies. So if you have a sales team, our number one vertical for companies is sales teams. So whether your team sells cars, they sell insurance, they sell cell phones, any type of performance-based work that you have, if you have a team that can benefit from that, whether it be from our system, whether it be from a workshop, whether you want me to come speak at one of your events, go to the link in my profile, which is workonyourgame.live. On that page, you'll see a link to my executive assistant's email address. Her name is Marielle. You can email her directly, let her know what you're looking for. She will get back to you and tell you what can be arranged, what we can do, what we can't do. That's all at the link in my profile on TikTok. So the link in my profile on TikTok, that's where you can get links to all my books, because somebody was leaving a comment that your books are backwards. We can't read the titles. That's okay. You don't need to read the titles. You just need to listen to me. Go to the link in my profile that is straight, is not backwards. It has links to the books. You want to get my books. The links to my books are right there on that page, on the link in my profile, which is workonyourgame.live, or you go to workonyourgame.com, you go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, or you just Google Work on Your Game. I told you, we own Work on Your Game. I am Work on Your Game. You look up Work on Your Game, you're going to see me. And I appreciate everybody staying a little bit late today because we started late. So I will see you all tomorrow morning. Topic tomorrow, we might talk about this Elon Musk thing. People getting mad about billionaires, quote unquote, because Elon allegedly is now worth 400 million. People are saying he could solve homelessness or world hunger with his money, but he won't do it, and he's greedy, and why don't you do it? And I don't like that. I don't like the angle. But anyway, I might talk about that. And anything else that might happen in the news, I might talk about that. So we never know what I'm actually going to talk about because anything could happen. We got to talk about Donald Trump and his tariffs. It seems like everybody got quiet about that because the tariffs look like they're actually working. Joe Biden's doctors refusing to testify on Capitol Hill. We might talk about that too. All of these are possibilities. So Don't worry about what we're going to talk about. Just know that I'm going to be the one talking. And if you like my style, come back here tomorrow. I'll see you all at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Thank you to the regulars who are always here, liking the live and keeping people going. G Black, I see you in there. Cargo, Indiana, I saw you in there. Dally Mac, I saw you in there. China H, I see you. I've seen a bunch of you in here today. I didn't see everybody, but shout out to the people who are in here consistently supporting. Shout out to the new people who came in here you didn't see me before, but you saw me now. So make sure you follow me and be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Is usually my start time. Today I started a little bit late, but it's usually 8 a.m. when I start. Make sure you're following me on at least one other platform just in case anything goes wrong on TikTok. I've been doing pretty good on TikTok. I haven't got suspended or warned or anything for the last 2 weeks. So we got a nice little run going on TikTok right now. And hopefully we can keep it going. So I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Courtney, I see you as well. Murphy the Mutt also. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We're out of here. Work on your game.